Peace to the fam. Peace to the fam. Welcome. Got a little something different going on today. We're going to test it out, see how it go. Appreciate y'all joining, family. This is a story of Jamarion Lawhorn. The redemption of Jamarion Lawhorn. Let's get into it, family. Appreciate y'all.
A Target 8 investigation into Michigan's youngest killers, ages 6 to 12, shows how they have pushed the justice system to its limits.
They include Jamarion Lawhorn, who was 12 when he killed 9-year-old Connor Verkerke in Kentwood more than 5 years ago. Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker and producer Carter Gent spent months investigating the youngest killers and found what can happen when the system works.
Ken joins us now in studio with this story tonight.
Sue and Brian, more than 5 years later, the young man who killed in hopes of being killed, now at age 17, has come to realize there's more to life than wanting to die. There's Jamarion Lawhorn, the youngest ever convicted of murder in Kent County, behind the youth home that has been his home for all of his teen years, with one of the chickens he has raised.
He was raising these chickens. He loves animals, and he had me buy a little coat for it I got, and a leash, and he would walk this rooster around. It was so funny.
There he is, petting a horse at an Amish shop up north during a recent excursion.
He's petting it, and he goes, you know what? This is the first time I've ever been next to a real live horse.
If it takes a village to raise a child, or in this case, to save a child, those now working with Jamarion are some of the most unlikely villagers. There's the Kent County Juvenile Detention Officer, Frank Briones, who met Jamarion for the first time on the day of the killing and now plays the role of his father. The woman from a prison ministry, Paula Cresswell, who started writing him after watching his story on TV and now plays the role of his mother.
I couldn't get him off my mind. I saw him on TV, I looked in his eyes, and I saw hope, I think. And I saw a hurting kid that needed a mom.
And Tony, mother of 9-year-old victim,
What up, Brooklyn? I see you. Appreciate you, family.
Marion's grandmother.
It was a tragedy that Connor was killed, but a double tragedy would have happened if we'd lost Jamarion at the same time. And as long as there was any way possible that he was going to be able to come back from this, I was in. I felt called to do it.
Kent County 911, where's your emergency?
Can I have a police officer at 5657 Madison?
On August 4th, 2014, Jamarion called 911.
Okay. And what's happening there?
I just stabbed someone.
Connor, say hi.
He had just killed Connor, a boy he did not know, with a kitchen knife in a Kentwood playground. Connor, the oldest of 4 boys, who loved music, who loved to dance, who loved his family. We later learned why Jamarion wanted police to kill him. He lived in a home unfit for kids with a mom and stepdad who beat him and who later went to jail for it. The state that was supposed to protect him had instead abandoned him. Since the killing and his murder conviction, Jamarion has grown up at the former Muskegon River Youth Home near Everett, a locked center for troubled kids. At first, reports from the home were dire: nightmares, outbursts, suicide attempts. Now, still at that youth home, he is in the 11th grade, is planning.
So this is crazy to me, right? Because we always so quick to throw away somebody for life after something. Like, I ain't saying what he did was right or none of that, but they was trying to fight to keep him in jail, like on a bigger charge, like more as an adult. But he was only 12 years old. And he ended up changing his whole life. So this is why this was kind of a crazy story. I think it's kind of important to be told. I appreciate y'all being here. So let's get into it, family.
For college and talking to Connor's grandmother about starting a foundation to help other kids.
Definitely that it's in Connor's memory.
Yeah, he got released in 2022, I think, or 2023.
Peace in him now. I asked him if he's forgiven himself. And he said, yes, finally I have. And I think that has made the difference in him of forgiving himself.
A judge in November agreed to let Connor's grandmother, the juvenile detention officer, and the prison ministry founder to take Jamarion on excursions from the youth home. They've taken him on trips to nearby Cadillac, to Big Boy, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, to watch Jumanji at the theater.
I don't think he's ever been a monster.
No.
Even before this, I think he was a hurting child that didn't know how to cry out for help, had tried in other ways.
He had tried to talk with people, though. Yeah.
And
people ignored him. Yeah, he wasn't heard.
While Jamarion is headed toward possible freedom when he turns 19, his victims' parents are left with videos to help keep their son's memory. Connor was a third grader who wanted to be a teacher.
Connor was incredible. He was compassionate, he was smart, he was kind.
Welcome, Lady L. Appreciate you joining, family.
Her son's death contributed to the breakup of her marriage with Connor's dad. She's had trouble holding onto a job and is now living with a friend.
Nothing will ever be the same.
Her son Cameron was 8 when he witnessed his brother's death. He spoke during Jamarion's sentencing hearing.
And sometimes when I wake up, I wonder where my brother Connor is.
Cameron has gone through 5 years of therapy. He's now 13, no longer has nightmares. He is now the big brother.
Every time someone asks me if I forgive Jamarion, I always ask them what their definition of forgiveness is, because I feel that forgiveness is a thing that is very self-defined. By my definition of forgiveness, yes, I have forgiven him, which is that I'm no longer emotionally invested in his life.
She is struggling to live a life without her son.
Hello, my name's Connor. What's your name?
Connor's mom, who has not wanted to meet Jamarion, told us today that after watching our digital documentary, she is ready to. Now you can see the full report on Jamarion and Connor and the rest of the documentary, Youngest Killers, on our website. I'm Target 8 investigator Ken Cole.
What up, No One? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. So, yeah, that's just a little big beginning. Appreciate y'all being here. So, yeah, this is Jamarion. And so he killed the little boy when he was 12 years old. He got sentenced when he was 13. Yeah, so it's a pretty crazy story. We're going to get into a little bit more of it, but appreciate y'all being here, family. Let's get into it.
Some troubling new details about the life of Kent County's youngest suspected killer, and the question, did Child Protective Services drop the ball? Target 8 is uncovering deplorable home conditions, including drugs and a history of child abuse. All conditions Jamarion Lawhorn was living with before he was accused of stabbing 9-year-old Connor Verkerke.
What we're finding raises questions about whether the state should have moved sooner and if that would have stopped this heinous murder from happening. Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker is here now with what he discovered. Ken.
Yeah, Brian and Sue, these court documents show Jamarion Lawhorn's mom has a long history of child abuse cases involving broken bones, apparent cigarette burns. Since the murder, the state has taken steps to permanently take away her 4 children, including Jamarion.
What up, Allie? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. I'm trying to see why it's frozen for y'all. It's not frozen for me. What's going on with that? Hold on 1 second, family. Appreciate you joining. Shout out to Allie. What up? She says hello to everyone. Brooklyn, did you make some of himself? Did he make some of himself? He trying to. Let me see. Let's see. Full screen. Boom. That's the wrong video. Okay, 1 second, family. How many media players I got open? Oh, here we go. That was, I don't know, it was frozen. All right, my bad, family. Here we go.
Apparent cigarette burns. Since the murder, the state has taken steps to...
All conditions Jamarion Lawhorn was living with before he was accused of stabbing 9-year-old Connor Verkerke.
What we're finding raises questions about whether the state should have moved sooner and if that would have stopped this heinous murder from happening. Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker is here now with what he discovered. Ken.
Yeah, Brian and Sue, these court documents show Jamarion Lawhorn's mom has a long history of child abuse cases involving broken bones, apparent cigarette burns. Since the murder, the state has taken steps to permanently take away her 4 children, including Jamarion.
Anger is a justifiable emotion, but it's worse than anger. You can't be mad at that child, the 12-year-old.
But he says after learning more about the boy's background from Target 8, he can be mad at Jamarion's mom and the state.
What are you going to do to the state? I don't know what you do to him. Consume him, I guess. I don't know if that won't change anything.
Jamarion Lawhorn stabbed 9-year-old Connor Verkerke to death on a Kentwood playground for no reason other than that he wanted to die himself. He told police he had always been in trouble and had gotten teased in school, but those reports mentioned nothing about the abuse he had suffered at home or his mom's long history of abuse. Within days of the killing, the state removed Anita Lawhorn's remaining 3 children, ages 2 to 14. Jamarion is still locked up.
So she was already fighting for the custody of her kids. They had already took him away. What up, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights? I see you. They had already took him away, but somehow the CPS let him get back into the home with the stepdad, and then the grandma was beating him before he killed this boy. So that's crazy though. It's not. I don't know what to say. Y'all let me know what y'all think so far.
Last week, it petitioned to take away her parental rights to all 4.
She should be held criminally accountable.
In what way?
Well, not only for what she did to her son, but maybe for what her son did to my grandson.
Records show a long history of abuse. Anita Lawhorn voluntarily gave up 2 other kids in 1999 in New York after her 1-year-old daughter was found with 4 broken bones and her 3-year-old girl had apparent cigarette burns on her chest. In 2004, Michigan Child Protective Services investigated her for child abuse. Then last year, it substantiated allegations of child abuse against her and the stepdad. Jamarion was the victim. They went through parenting programs, but they were not charged with abuse. Then, after the playground stabbing, police found a home not fit for kids. Cocaine paraphernalia in the bathroom, no utilities, no blankets or sheets on the beds. They also found bruises on Jamarion. He said that his stepfather put them there. Records show both the mom and the stepdad recently tested positive for cocaine. Today, Connor's grandfather says it's clear that Jamarion needed help.
Yeah, maybe even a hug would have done, you know? Yeah. Maybe Connor could have gave him a hug. Yeah, I'm sure he would have given him a hug. If he'd known he needed one, he'd have given him one. He was that kind of kid.
We tried to reach the mom, but it appears her home is now vacant. Records show she was being evicted.
She went to jail a couple times, too. We got that coming up, too. And, yeah, Ali says, talk about the system failing. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Charges against the mom, is that even possible?
I'm not sure at this point. Right now, they're trying to get her parental rights terminated for all of her kids. I mean, it's already happened for 2 previous kids in New York where she gave up those rights because of those earlier allegations, but now they're going after the 4. And, the family questions, the victim questions, why didn't they do that before?
Absolutely.
Right, especially.
We continue to stay on top of a shocking murder on the playground. Today, a judge made Jamarion Lawhorn and his 3 siblings wards of the court.
Hey, I understand, Brooklyn. It's a deep one tonight, so I understand for sure, but we diving in. Appreciate you, family.
Around back in August. Lawhorn wasn't supposed to be in the state at the time. Tonight, 24-Hour News 8's Danny Carlson's asking if Child Protective Services dropped the ball. Danny?
Brian, today's testimony described past abuse of Jamarion Lawhorn in a home that his family was living in where cocaine was present, but food and utilities weren't. Now, Jamarion's mom and stepdad were declared today unfit to have the kids right now, but the judge said that reunification of the family is the goal.
I'm just fighting for my kids because I'm not that person that everybody made me out to be.
Anita Lawhorn cried through much of today's testimony, which described unstable parents and an unfit home, a home that Jamarion Lawhorn wasn't even supposed to be living in, and CPS didn't know he was until Connor Verkerke was killed.
I know people would like to blame CPS for this, but in fact, the parents
failed Jamarion by not getting him mental health services.
Jamarion was living with his dad in New York after abuse allegations came to light in 2013 that his stepfather whipped him with an electrical cord and his mom beat him with a belt. CPS made a safety plan for Jamarion, and when he was deemed in a safe place in New York, his CPS case was closed. But Jamarion came back to Michigan in June of this year and then just stayed.
Some people are going to be bound to say CPS dropped the ball on this kid. How so? Because they didn't realize he was back in Michigan, he was living in that house again. I mean, why would CPS be responsible? How would they know that? I guess that's the question. How do you keep track of kids just to make sure parents are doing what they're supposed to do with their kids? Well, we can't keep track of kids forever, obviously. We don't follow them until they're 18 years old.
Now, we were also told that even if CPS did want to keep track of kids until they were 18 years old, they would not have the staff to. Now, another thing, in 2013, Jamarion's dad in New York.
What up, Allie? I see you, family. Appreciate you joining. I mean, Tat Clouds, my bad. I was reading her message. What up, Tat Clouds? I see you. Appreciate you joining. We getting into it. We got the trial. We got some open statements coming up later. We got the trial. We got the verdicts. All that.
And now I would like to hear from our juvenile probation officer, Mr. Corey, who did file a report and is also making a recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I received this case approximately a month ago, and as you have explained in your statement, my recommendation is going to be the Muskegon River Youth Home. I did contact the Muskegon River Youth Home, forward them the information on Jamarion, and on October 22nd, the psychologist and the program director did interview Jamarion in detention, and they have accepted him for placement if so ordered. Muskegon River Youth Home, as you have pointed out, Your Honor, specializes in treating long-term youth and can provide the treatment necessary to address the previous issues in Jamarion's life, including this tragic offense that has occurred. He will be assigned a case manager, a counselor, and a psychologist during his stay at Muskegon River Youth Home. The psychologist will work with him intensively on a weekly basis and will also provide a psychological report to this court. So I do feel that I too have a youth that's in the long-term program. It's a very positive program at this point. I think it will immensely benefit Jamarion to be in that program, and he will be there for the long term. Due to the seriousness of this offense, it is clear he has to be in a secure setting, and that, sir, will be my recommendation. So my recommendation is that he continue as a ward of the court. He be placed in a suitable institution, the Muskegon River Youth Home, that he continue to reside in detention pending that placement, that he participate in counseling, attend school regularly. He will receive psychological testing while he is there, drug testing. I'm also recommending an apology letter. Your Honor, this is not something the court should expect right away. This is something that's going to be ongoing with the treatment process, and this could take a number of years for him to formulate.
With the counselor to determine when that's appropriate.
That is.
And that's his mom behind him back there to the bottom left. She was in jail too at this time. I think they had her in custody because of the case, but she went to jail a couple times during all this.
Correct, Your Honor. That is correct. I recommend a formal review hearing in 6 months. I do recommend the blended sentence for Jamarion at this point, that the parents split the court service fee, that he pay a crime victims' rights assessment, and as well as state minimum costs. Your Honor, I've not received anything yet as far as restitution. I have heard the victim's mother speak to that matter, and there may be restitution in the future, so I recommend that this matter remain open at this time.
All right. Fair enough.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. I want to give counsel as well as Jamarion's guardian ad litem the final opportunity to address the court. Ms. Seidel, I'll start with you.
Thank you. Your Honor, with respect to the recommendations for the, what I'm going to call for WUMA, what I hope is just the interim disposition in this case, a sentence of, I want it to be called a sentence in this case, I agree with the recommendations. Obviously, we do have youth from Kent County that are presently in the Muskegon Youth River Home. I attend review hearings all the time with respect to those, and it's a good program. So I think that's a good placement, institutional placement for the defendant at this point. Your Honor, I do want to say, though, and obviously I can't say anything more really than what the parents did in terms of the agony that this must have caused them.
What up, Kristen Vasquez? I see you. Appreciate you joining, and Happy New Year, family. So for those just joining, and this the lady right here who trying to fight to give him more time. Or at least to leave the door open to give him more time. But I appreciate you being here. What up, Kristen Vasquez? Always good to see you, family. Happy 2020-25. 2020-2025.
Once again, would reiterate that while I agree with what's happening with the recommendation today, it is totally, I also happen to agree with his agreement that it should be a delayed imposition of an adult and not a straight juvenile, because quite frankly, 8 years, as I stand here before the court, 8 years would be the max this court, if you did a juvenile sentence, the max this court could hold him. Quite frankly, 8 years for a first-degree murder is insufficient. Having said that, I'm going to tell you that's my personal view on it. It's a first-degree murder. Connor's never coming home. He could get released when he's 21. I don't think we protect society that way. Therefore, once again, for that reason, we do need, I guess I'm going to say the juvenile system might not give the proper punishment. Even if you kept him in an institutional placement for 8 or 9 years, that might not be sufficient punishment. He might not be rehabilitated. And everyone...
How's she going to say rehabilitated and punishment? It's not the same thing. A punishment is a punishment. If you're going to punish them, punish them. But if y'all supposed to be rehabilitating people, that don't mean you got to punish them to rehabilitate them.
Deserves, as the society, and quite frankly, as a prosecutor, I have to look at what's best to society as well. They need to have a message that you don't commit a first-degree murder and then maybe get to walk 8 years later, unless you really, really have shown the court that you never would do something like this again, that you're completely rehabilitated.
And let me be clear, I'm not saying like it shouldn't be a punishment. I mean, I understand jail is a punishment and all that, but like, what's she trying to do? Give him life or something? Like, you know, trying to lock him up? He was 12 years old. That's not even the age of consent. He can't even sign a contract or none of that. It's a crazy situation, but I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel.
So therefore, I'm asking the court, just please do not preclude the option for yourself in the future of that, because 8 years just quite simply just might not be enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Mr. Buchler.
Thank you, Your Honor. Obviously, the court's aware of everything that's going on here, the trial. You're as aware of all the facts that have happened as frankly, the counsel are at this point. This is a result of, this is the potential catastrophic result of lifelong abuse. This is why abuse is such a problem in our society. This is what could happen. You couple that with a response from the youth to request appropriate interaction, appropriate intervention, and the futility of that response. And some of the culpability for this matter doesn't rest upon Jamarion, it rests upon the people that were supposed to be taking care of him. And I'm talking about his parents, I'm talking about the authorities that were contacted. That doesn't remove his responsibility, but this is a situation that everyone agrees, and everyone should agree, that we have an ultimate victim here of Connor, and nothing. We all feel terrible, and for what that family's gone through. They didn't deserve any of that. Jamarion, in his way, is a victim as well. So I would suggest to the court that a juvenile disposition could be an appropriate sentence, and at the very least, a blended sentence should be imposed here.
Mr. Reskevich, you of course play a slightly different role here. You look out for Jamarion's best interest, and I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you. I guess first of all, I'd like to start by offering my deepest sympathy to the family. And I guess before I make my comments, Your Honor, I have a story and a letter to share with the court. The story is from concerns Reverend Ardo Draper, who is a pastor at Calvary Church. He has become a counselor and a mentor to Jamarion. Reverend Draper has a criminal past that landed him in prison and jail for a number of years. He's turned his life around, and now he's counseling with youth. Jamarion was instrumental in asking the Reverend to go to the detention center and talk with the other boys there and share his story. And he did that, and the boys were very interested and had lots of questions. I think getting Reverend Draper there shows that Jamarion's maturity and the growth that he has experienced at the juvenile detention center. The letter I want to share with you, Your Honor, and the court is from a youth specialist that has been working with Jamarion for the past year or so, and his name is Frank Barones. And he says, I'm writing on behalf of Jamarion Lawhorn. Jamarion has been a resident here in the Kent County Juvenile Detention Center for over a year. I currently work directly with him as a youth specialist. Jamarion is an enthusiastic, friendly, and fun kid. Even when he is having a rough day, he remains respectful and kind to those around him. He brings a fun, loving attitude, smile, and is truly a joy to be around. The odds were clearly stacked against Jamarion at a young age, and I genuinely believe that sending him to prison for life is not in his or society's best interest. I ask you for leniency and consideration for this child who committed an inexcusable act of hatred and violence.
I think this letter helped him out too, just to show that somebody out there cared, and they ain't just saying like he just ruthless and not giving up and just tearing shit up. What up, Berta S? I see you, family. Appreciate you joining.
I know part of Jamarion's attitude and success within the Juvenile Detention Center is attributed to his structure, security, and safe environment that has been provided for him. Here he is always fed, clean, and has a bed to sleep in. All of these things he never has had prior to being brought to our facility. I've been in this job for over 10 years and have seen the vicious destruction cycle that kids will follow after being in abusive situations. On the other hand, I see Jamarion who fully regrets and acknowledges the terrible crime he has committed and has already been making changes to better himself. Overall, I ask that you please consider giving this kid a second chance at a normal life. He knows he has a lifetime with regret of taking another child's life, but I believe he can and will overcome the society of poverty and destruction that got him there. I would not consider him a threat to society. And I guess now that I want to talk about what I have experienced this past year and a half since working with Jamarion. I was appointed to represent Jamarion last August as his guardian ad litem. I would like to share with the court my impressions and why I believe a juvenile sentence is in his best interest. When I first met with Jamarion,
this is also plays into having good representation. I ain't gonna lie, she did a good job. Like she had all the areas covered that need to be covered. Like a lot of times when you have a public defender, people expect them to just be the worst people and not care, which they usually do. That's been my experience from just watching this type of stuff. But she actually cared about them, and you could tell though.
I saw a child with much sadness and hopelessness. I saw the physical scars that will never go away, and I also sensed his emotional scars. Both his physical and emotional scars were from the years of abuse that he has suffered. Throughout this case, I have seen the transformation from a sad and hopeless child to a child that now shows emotion and has a sense of hope. I couldn't even begin to imagine what he had to have endured in his short 12 years to get to the point of saying that he wanted to die and he wanted the electric chair. It became clearer after reading his case history and how his cries for help went unanswered by his family and by the state. I read where his mother had prior terminations because of children with broken bones and burns. I read about countless child protective services referrals where nothing was done. I read about how the detectives found the home that Jamarion was living in to be in deplorable condition. I read about how he never got the counseling that he needed. And I read about the time with tears streaming down his face, he told the school staff that he was afraid to go home. I read about how his mother and stepfather did drugs and gave him whoopings that left marks. And probably the most tragic event was when there was a CPS referral in 2013. The government's answer was not to open a case and remove Jamarion, but to send him to New York, where he was further abused by his father and his grandmother. He was sent to his father, who was on parole for assault second degree and menacing third degree. The convictions were the result of his father kicking and stomping his girlfriend. These are just some examples of what I believe led this 12-year-old to say that he wanted to die. Jamarion now has a sense of hope with goals of being a writer and a motivational speaker.
A writer and a motivational speaker back then, huh? Yo, what up, Survivor Speaks? I see you. What up, what up? And Happy New Year, everyone, once again. You know, we still celebrating. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Tack Clouds. Happy New Year, family. We getting it in. Shout out to Survivor Speaks. Y'all go sub up.
For help are finally being answered. He is finally getting the counseling that everyone understood that he needed, everyone but his parents. Discipline is carried out in a humane way. It's not meted out with extension cords and whoopings by people hyped up on drugs. He no longer has to live in squalor. He has a bed, he's clothed, and he has 3 meals a day. He finally has positive influences around him day in and day out. While the physical scars on his body from years of abuse and neglect will always be visible, it is my belief that the emotional scars with counseling, education, and stability will heal. Your Honor, I believe in the best interest of Jamarion to be served by a juvenile sentence.
Jamarion, I want to give you an opportunity to speak today and say as much or as little as you'd like.
I'm sorry for my actions. I have been going through lots of things during that month. Every night I have cried for all the pain I have caused throughout the whole process. I have had days without eating because of what had happened. If I could go back, I would stop myself. I now realize the nightmare that you and I have to live with. I don't show any emotion because if I do, I will not stop crying. After the day I was convicted, I did not know how to handle it. All I did was tell myself it was nothing like it was all over and I could never.
And pay attention to his mom, though, in the back. She can't even look at him, though. His moms can't even look at him. Watch when he go back to sit down and watch. She can't look at him.
Live a normal life. People think I'm crazy, but they don't know what. They do not know me. If I could go back, I would take all the pain and stress rather than take a life. And I really don't understand none of this. I just try to, but I really don't and do not like what I did, and neither do you. And I know what I did was wrong. I just do not understand why I did it. I made a terrible mistake. I just want you to know that I am sorry for all the pain you have been going through. And when I get older, I will help kids not to make the mistake I made and help them become a better person in life so they will not have to suffer the abuse I had to suffer on that day. I was so scared, I was afraid, my stepfather. I was afraid of my stepfather. I wanted to die because I thought there was no way out. I now know hurting someone was not the right answer. I have been talking to a pastor and asked him to talk to the kids in the detention center so he can help them how he was helping me. I'm sorry for what I did. I just wanted you to know that. I just wanted you to know that.
They want to lock this little boy up.
Go fast, little boy. I had an opportunity to hear most of it. I hope I was as well.
You be out there. You be safe out there driving. You know, you ain't got to interact too much. We can wait for you to get to the house. Appreciate you, family. I just dropped her link in the chat.
The court is also mindful of other circumstances in the case. I am also the judge who was in the Lawhorn neglect case, and I have extensive knowledge of the family from which Jamarion comes. He has been raised in a home with a lengthy history of neglect and physical abuse. His mother had her parental rights terminated over 2 previous children a number of years ago for physical abuse. Child Protective Services were involved with the family in August and September of 2005 and as recently as May and June of 2013. In 2013, Ms. Lawhorn and her longtime partner, Bernard Harold, were substantiated for physical abuse of Jamarion. He was beaten with an extension cord so brutally as to leave permanent scarring on his legs. Then he was moved to his father's home in New York, where he was beaten by his alcoholic maternal grandmother before being returned to Grand Rapids and his mother and Mr. Harold's home. And I must say that the court was not entirely persuaded by Ms. Lawhorn's or Mr. Harold's trial testimony that neither had used physical punishment on Jamarion since 2013. While no child should be subjected to neglect and physical abuse like Jamarion was, the court understands and appreciates that a troubled upbringing is neither a legal defense to murder nor an excuse for violent behavior. But Jamarion was 12 years old when he committed this killing, and it would be naive to conclude that his life experience had nothing to do with his scheme of killing someone so that he would be arrested and executed. The U.S. Supreme Court, Miller v. Alabama, which is sort of the most recent case that the court has decided, a case where a 14-year-old child from Alabama had killed someone, someone who was 2 years older than Jamarion at the time he committed this crime, explained in some detail the reason why we as a society treat juvenile killers differently than adult killers. The court relied on 3 significant gaps between juveniles and adults. First, children have a lack of maturity and an underdeveloped sense of responsibility, leading to recklessness, impulsivity, and heedless risk-taking. Second, children are more vulnerable to negative influences and outside pressures, including from their family and peers. They have limited control over their own environment and lack the ability to extricate themselves from horrific crime-producing settings. And third, a child's character is not as well formed as an adult's. His traits are less fixed and his actions less likely to be evidence of irretrievable depravity. The court further noted that as science has progressed, the science continues to show fundamental differences between juvenile and adult brains. For example, in parts of the brain involved in behavior control. There is a difference between a 12-year-old and an adult making a horrible decision like this. The case is a tragedy all the way around for any of us who have been involved in it. A 12-year-old child brutally murdered at random, a 9-year-old defenseless child, leaving behind a family that aches over the loss of a child deprived of the ability to grow up, to fall in love, and to make life choices for himself. And the 12-year-old killer who did not choose to be raised in an abusive and neglectful home is now faced with coming to terms with the pain he has inflicted, losing his freedom, and losing the ability to lead a normal childhood and adolescence. It is the court's decision to impose a blended sentence in this case. That is a disposition that delays the imposition of a prison of sentence under MCL 712.8.18(1)M. The court places Jamarion.
So it's a delayed sentencing. So he is sentenced, but it's not the full sentencing. They can also change it if he gets worse or if he's acting bad. They can change the sentencing later. That's what he said basically.
On probation under MCL 712.8.18 sub 1 sub B with 712.8.18(1)M. The court places Jamarion on probation under MCL 712.8.18 sub 1 sub B with appropriate conditions. Those conditions include being committed to the Muskegon River Youth Home under MCL 712.8.18(1) sub D. The court reserves and delays the imposition of a prison sentence unless and until a request is made to impose a sentence of imprisonment. As I understand the positions of the parties, both parties agree that it is appropriate to simply wait to determine an appropriate sentence if and when the court is asked to impose such a sentence. I do want to remind everyone, and I'll of course remind Jamarion at review hearings, that violations of probation under the law can result in the revocation of the probation and the imposition of the adult prison sentence. It is critical that Jamarion make his best efforts at the Muskegon River Youth Home to take advantage of the services, to abide by the rules, and to prove to all of us and to himself that he is capable of turning his life around. I believe in redemption. I'm not willing to give that up on a 13-year-old boy at this point. Jamarion, you have the right to appeal your conviction to the Michigan Court of Appeals. The court will appoint you an attorney if you cannot afford one. We are about to provide you with a form to request a court-appointed attorney. You must complete the form and return it to the court within 42 days, or
Look, there goes his mom right there. Look at her.
Your request will be denied. Ms. Retzkevich, I'd ask if you would kindly make sure
She got her county blues on too.
so that we do not run any risk of him waiving his appellate rights. Following their meeting with Jamarion after today's hearing, the court will discharge both Mr. Bukaloo and Ms. Retzkevich from their respective roles as defense counsel and guardian ad litem for Jamarion. It has been a difficult case. The court thanks each of them for their service under difficult circumstances. The court will simply appoint a new counsel from our assignment panel to handle the review hearings in the future. Ms. Seidel, is there anything else you would like to bring before the court while we're here?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Bukaloo?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Ms. Retzkevich?
No, Your Honor.
Jamarion, good luck. I'll see you at review hearings in about 6 months. I wish you the very best of luck, and thank you all very much.
So he was 13 at this time. Shout out to No One, sending good vibes out across the board. Appreciate you, family. Y'all go sub up to Reggie Righteous and check him out. Fire music on deck. You already know. Appreciate that. Alright, fam. Let's keep it rolling. Y'all hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, and don't forget to share with a friend. What up, Fatima? I see you, family. Happy New Year. Let me see. You get a Happy New Year, too, whenever y'all dropping in. Boom. You get it, too. What up, though?
Kent County's youngest killer. Of Kent County's youngest convicted killer, Jamarion Lawhorn, is in jail herself tonight. Anita Lawhorn, who was convicted of abusing Jamarion, was in court today for violating her bond. That led to the judge locking her up. 24-hour News 8 Ken Kolker has followed this case from the very beginning, and he was at today's hearing and is outside the Kent County Courthouse now with the very latest. Ken?
Yeah, good evening, Brian. Anita Lawhorn has tested positive for alcohol 3 times, the first time in April, the second time on the first day of her child abuse trial.
I apologize for the last time, and I'm so sorry for that. It was a stupid decision, but as of today, I have not used any alcohol.
Lawhorn says she drank the first day of her trial because she was scared. Her probation officer said a test showed a small amount of alcohol.
And she did admit that she was using. She was nervous about trial.
and that's why she admitted that she hit to calm her nerves.
We, the jury, find Anita Lawhorn.
The jury later found her guilty of abusing Jamarion, who was 12 when he fatally stabbed 9-year-old Connor Verkerke on a Kentwood playground. She was allowed to stay free on bond. But a week ago today, she tested positive again for alcohol, though she denied drinking.
I have really too much to lose. I had too much to lose when I admitted the last incident. And I'm not trying to lose my kids. I'm not trying to revoke my bond.
Claims she was taking prescription cough syrup for bronchitis, that her probation officer knew it. But the judge ordered her locked up.
I'm going to remand you here and hold you without bond pending the sentencing.
Lawhorn blamed her probation officer. Her attorney now wonders what will happen to her 3 other kids, who were taken away, then later returned to her and Jamarion's stepfather. Are you going to be able to take care of the kids?
Yes.
Yes? Now that man, Bernard Harold, the stepfather, also was convicted of abusing Jamarion. He'll be sentenced November 24th, the same day that Anita Lawhorn is. As for Jamarion, he's supposed to be back in court November 4th for his sentence for murder.
Up at 6 tonight, Kent County's youngest killer is now a free man. A little more than 6 years after his crime, Jamarion Lawhorn was released today.
A judge ordered that he be released from a youth program to live with a family in Jenison. And News 8's Ken Kolker has covered this case from the very beginning. He's here right now with today's milestone moment. Ken.
Ryan and Sue, it's hard to believe it was 6 years ago that 12-year-old Jamarion Lawhorn stabbed 9-year-old Connor Verkerke to death on a playground. Jamarion turns 19 in 2 weeks. It started with this 911 call from a 12-year-old boy in 2014.
I just stabbed someone. You did. Who was it that you just stabbed? I don't know. I'm fed up with life.
He had stabbed Connor Verkerke, a 9-year-old boy he did not know, in a Kentwood playground because he wanted to die himself.
That shit crazy. Yo, shout out to Chot Diggy. What's good, family? I see you. Appreciate you tapping in. What up, what up, what up, what up, though? Y'all show Chot Diggy some love. And Chan My Black is golden in the house, too. What's good, Chan My Black is golden? Appreciate y'all. Much love, much love.
Think I'm crazy, but they don't know what. They do not know me. If I could go back, I would take all the pain and stress rather than take their life.
The killing exposed a lifetime of abuse at the hands of a mom and stepdad who later went to jail for it.
He was beaten with an extension cord so brutally as to leave permanent scarring on his legs.
It also exposed a state children's protective services system that failed to protect his child, who would become a killer. At the sentencing, Connor's mom said this.
I feel like I constantly exist in 2 worlds, this one and one where Connor is still here.
Today, she told us she was too distraught to talk. The same judge who had sentenced her son's killer ruled today that he was rehabilitated and grown up enough for freedom, with limits. Jamarion has been held and treated at the Everett Youth Academy, the former Muskegon River Youth Home near Everett, where he just earned his GED.
Congratulations, Jamarion, on the GED, man. Good job.
Thank you. I'm extraordinarily proud of Jamarion's progress, and I do feel like he is ready to step into adulthood and be a productive member of society.
She calls him a low risk for violence. Today, he will move into the home of a woman who runs a prison ministry program and her family in Jenison. That woman, Paula Cresswell, started communicating with Lawhorn several years ago and has filled the role as his mother. Jamarion will also be allowed to spend time with the juvenile detention officer who has played the role of his father. The judge also ordered Jamarion to stay on probation, work with a counselor and a mentor, and get a job.
He's coming out an adult, a legal adult, but in many ways he's still a child. He's never had that childhood development and has been in secure settings for this time. So we're kind of taking a cautious approach, Your Honor.
Now the judge ordered he stay on probation, work with a counselor and a mentor, and get a job. Now the judge will review the case in 6 months and could end probation then, or could keep supervising him until he's 21.
What up, family? Appreciate y'all being here. Happy New Year to everybody. We getting into it. We about to get into some of the opening statements. We just gonna do the the prosecution first, and then we gonna mix it up a little bit. But you already know what they coming with. They trying to act like he the worst person in the world, but kinda, cause he a child. So they took it kinda easy on him. But they don't care about us.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as Judge Denenfeld indicated, this is my opportunity to provide you with an opening statement. What it is my opportunity to tell you what witnesses are going to come forward and what information, what evidence they're going to provide you. I ask you to listen closely because probably all the time I have to call witnesses out of order, and so if you kind of have their names and know where they fit in as far as the entire case, I think it'll help you in your deliberation process. This is an argument. I don't get a chance to argue how the facts apply to the law, but I simply can lay out what my case is, what witnesses are going to come forward, and what evidence they will provide you. I'd like to emphasize again, Judge Denenfeld advised you of the elements of the offense that I have to prove, first-degree murder. And first, that is that the defendant caused the death of Michael Connor Verkerk. Secondly, that he intended to kill him. Third, that it was premeditated.
Chloe Albert's Revenge. Good Lord, what's good with you? And Sashay Tucker, what's good, family? Appreciate y'all tapping in.
Thought out beforehand. And fourth, it was deliberated. It was deliberate, rather. And that is that the defendant had an opportunity to consider the pros and cons of his actions. And I think you'll find when we begin to lay all this out that not only did he have an opportunity to consider pros and cons of his actions on August 4 of 2014, but he had been considering doing this, killing someone, for over a year. He had deliberated for over a year about taking someone with him and then taking his own life. But he had thought about this and considered this for a year. And that isn't something I'm making up. Those are the defendant's own words. I emphasize that I only have to prove those elements.
Shout out to Pamela, Keisha E, Politicking with Mel, Natasha, Robert, Leah J. Y'all got gifted a membership. Appreciate y'all and welcome to the family.
The defense here, and I'm going to touch upon this now and then go into it a little more towards the end of my opening statement, but really this is an affirmative defense of insanity. I don't believe the defense is contesting that, in fact, the defendant killed Michael Connor Verkerk. They're claiming he's not responsible simply because he was insane at the time of this act. Well, I asked him, and we talked about this during voir dire, that the definition of legal insanity is actually a very narrow one.
He trying to fight against sanity. The boy not even he's not even 13 yet. I mean, not even a teenager yet, or just now a teenager. This was before that, so he's probably 12 at this time, something like that. What up, FFS? Creeping in. I see you, family. Appreciate you.
You have to find what the defense has to prove, and it's a little unusual in that the defense, when we get to that part of the case, carries the burden there. But they have to demonstrate that the defendant lacked the substantial capacity to understand the wrongfulness of his conduct, or he couldn't conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. And that as a result of a mental illness, again, he couldn't control his, didn't know the wrongfulness of his conduct, or couldn't conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. Before I go into the facts, I'd like to talk about Michael Connor Verkerk. I think you're going to hear him referred to as Connor throughout this, so I don't want you to, his father's name is also Michael, so they call him Connor. He was a 9-year-old boy on August 4, 2014. I'll show you a picture of him later on here, where Connor was at school the year before. He was a very likable kid. He was a very lovable kid. He was a kid who his teachers enjoyed having around. you're going to hear from his own mother that Connor made friends easily. And on August 4 of 2014, that's what he did. He made friends with the defendant.
Real quick, shout out to Tat Cloud. She said, "Puff puff past that." Let me take a quick little. Appreciate you. Yeah, past that. Here you go, family. I pass it over to you. My bad. But shout out, y'all. Just drop Tat Cloud some slime umbrella. Show her some love. Appreciate the support. There you go, family. Pass it on. Oh, one more, I guess. And then I appreciate you, family.
It is rare, very rare, that as a prosecutor you have an entirely and completely innocent victim. Connor Verkerk is a completely innocent victim. Prior to being stabbed by the defendant, he didn't fight with him, he didn't taunt him, he didn't share any cross words with him. What he did was try to befriend the defendant. And when he turned his back on the defendant, when he was climbing up a slide, the defendant took out a knife and stabbed him repeatedly. Now I'd like to go into the witnesses that are going to come forward and what they will provide you. You are going to hear from Cameron Verkerk that he and his friend James Martin and Connor were all playing outside the Verkerk home, doing as normal 9-year-olds do, just playing and running around, and the defendant walked up. And they asked the defendant his name, and he told them his name was Jamarion. And Connor then went into his house, asked his mother, "Can we run to the park and play with our new friend?" Mrs. Verkerk will tell you she didn't think anything unusual that because Connor was always making new friends. And she allowed him to go to this park that's really within, and you'll see from some overhead maps, a close distance to their house. It's located at 444 Bellwood in the city of Kentwood, county of Kent, state of Michigan. So the boys all leave and walk down to this park. The defendant follows them. While they're playing on the playground, you're going to hear from a witness saying she observed them playing and the defendant was kind of standing off to the side. Well, at some point the defendant, who has hid this knife in the sand, and I mean, you talk about a calculating act, he's hid this knife in the sand after he has hid it, carrying it all the way from his house, and I'll get into that in a moment. He pulls the knife out, and it's a very large knife, and he shows it to these boys. They don't think much of it and continue to play. Well, it isn't until Connor comes down this rock slide, has his back, and they call it a rock slide because it's a plastic slide, with all kinds of indentations and bumps on it. And you'll see pictures of that. When Connor Verkerk turns his back on the defendant descends upon him with this knife. And really, you're going to find that he did it at a time when Connor Verkerk was at his most vulnerable. When he was coming down off the slide, when he had his back to the defendant, when he couldn't defend himself. And the defendant stabbed him 3 times in the back and once in the arm. You'll see photographs of these wounds. Once this stabbing occurs, Connor begins to run home with the help of his brother Cameron. And Cameron will tell you that that blood is coming out of his brother's back, and also that his brother is spitting up blood as he's trying to get him home.
And yeah, my bad. I should have did like a content warning or something, huh? Yeah, so shout out to the fam, rest in power to the Connor. It's a sad thing, but I'm glad they didn't lock that boy up for life, though. But it's still fucked up.
And he does get him home. And on the while, when he gets on his way home, I submit to you, Connor knows he's in trouble. and knows he's very seriously hurt because he tells his brother, this isn't your fault, don't worry about it, I love you. They reach the Verkerk home, and Connor essentially collapses on the front porch of their home. Cameron runs in and tells his mother, Connor has just been stabbed. Mrs. Verkerk and Mr. Verkerk come out, and they begin to apply pressure to the wounds in Connor's back. And they'll tell you, I think, that every time they pushed hard or placed pressure on one wound, the blood would spurt out even more on another one. For all intent and purposes, Connor Verkerk was dying in their arms on their porch. "911 is called by James Martin, the other boy that was there. The ambulance arrives, but what you're going to find here is, I'd like to shift to after Connor is removed from the porch, taken to the hospital where he eventually dies. I'd like to focus now on what the defendant did. Because you're going to hear that the defendant, after stabbing Connor Verkerk, walks over to an area near the Verkerk home and says to a woman, Heidi Shepard, and another woman, Nancy Bishop, who are standing in the street just talking to one another, he walks up to them and asks, can I use your phone? They indicate, and they can't figure out why he wants to use the phone, but they say, we don't have a phone. The defendant then turns and walks up to the drive to the home of Glenn Stacy. Mr. Stacy will tell you that the defendant, who is walking fine, talking fine, asks if he can use his cell phone. The defendant gets on the cell phone and calls 911 and tells them basically, I just stabbed somebody, come and get me, I'm tired of living. And that's going to be a theme throughout this. And you're going to hear the defendant, and it's not someone who's very apologetic for what he's done, what he has done, but you're going to hear his voice on that 911 tape. And it's an angry voice, it's an agitated voice, but it surely isn't one of remorse. In some sense, you can hear it in his voice, he's almost proud of what he has done here. Once the police arrive, naturally, they go to the victim first. You're going to hear Glenn Stacy say that this upsets the defendant because he wants them to come and arrest him. And he's upset that they've gone to the victim first. Well, finally, Officer Klein, who is responding to the scene as well, shows up and begins to walk towards the defendant because the defendant matches the description provided by dispatch. And as he's walking up to the defendant says, come here and arrest me. And Officer Klein says, why? And the defendant says, because I just stabbed somebody. The defendant will also say he took some pills prior to stabbing somebody, and you'll hear more about this, but they are antidepressant medication and some antibiotics. There's going to be a question as to when he actually took those, but he is going to claim that he took those at...
And he was off pills. Chloe Albert's revenge. Let me see. I'm going to go down to that real quick because that's a good point. He trying to commit suicide by cop and you're expecting logic and reason. Like what? And then he was off pills. Like he took some pills that he found. He don't know what it was, but he took it trying to commit suicide, but it didn't work. So then that's when he came and did all this too. It's crazy. And he trying to talk like he just regular, like he just normal and good. What?
At some point prior to doing this. And you're going to hear that the defendant is treated immediately.
Oh yeah, and shout out to Chot Diggy. She said she got to get back to work. She'll be back in a few. Appreciate you, family.
Immediately by people from emergency response, AMR. And during this time period, they're talking to the defendant. He is alert. He is oriented to where time, to place. He's talking. Just as you'll hear on this 911 tape where he spells out his name, talks fluently, is having no problem communicating with anyone. But what he tells these AMR people is actually quite chilling. He tells them, I've been planning this for a year. I wanted to kill someone and then be arrested for that and have them kill me. You're also going to hear the defendant being examined by a number of other doctors who say, again, he's oriented to time, to place, to who he is. He's spelling his name. He's giving out his mother's address, his address. But you're going to hear the full story of what the defendant did on August 4, 2014. Some of this comes from the defendant himself. Because the defendant is going to tell, the defendant told people who were examining him, people who questioned.
Like the defendant is like 12 years old though. That's crazy. Shout out to Survivor Speaks. I hope you made it home safe. She say, "Hey, flesh of the gods and family," in the other messages.
Him that not only had he been planning this for a year, but on the date in question, he went into the kitchen area of his home, got out a long knife. Importantly here, because he knew the wrongfulness of his conduct, because what does he do with this knife? Does he walk out openly and carry it openly? No. He conceals it and hides it. He walks all the way down to the Verkerke home, still concealing this knife. He walks with the Verkerke children to the playground. And what does he do there? He conceals the knife in the sand. And he waits until Connor has his back to him and he stabs him. The defense here, as I indicated, is insanity. That as a result of a mental illness, he lacked substantial capacity to know the wrongfulness of his conduct or couldn't conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. The defendant has been examined by a couple of psychologists, one hired by the defense, one who works for the Center for Forensic Psychiatry here in the state of Michigan. And I'm going to ask you, because you're going to hear conflicting viewpoints here. And you're going to have to look at this. You're going to be diametrically opposed and sift through this. But I'd ask you to focus on what Dr. Tremonti, who works for the Center for Forensic Psychiatry, will tell you about the defendant's mental state at the time he committed this act on August 4 of 2014. And really, no one, you can't, I can't, get inside the defendant's head and determine what he's thinking at the time. What Dr. Tremonti will tell you is what governs here, what tells us what the defendant was thinking, is his conduct, his actions on that day. And his actions clearly indicated that he understood the wrongfulness of his conduct. I mean, he knew to call the police because it was wrong. And he could conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. And why do I say that? Well, Dr. Tremonti is going to tell you, again, the devil's in the details here. It's what he did. You can judge and determine his intent by what he did and how he did it. And what did he do on that day? Well, he'd been planning this for a year. 2, on the date in question, he gets a knife out of his...
He said he been planning this for a year. That don't count for a random murder. That's more for like if you've been plotting to kill a specific person or a specific group or type of people or something like that. What up, JT? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. Appreciate you tapping in. Y'all show JT some love.
Kitchen, fully cognizant of the idea that he's going to go and harm someone with it. 3, he conceals this knife underneath his clothing and walks a considerable distance. And you're going to hear from the detective that he walked a considerable distance from his home to the Verkerke home and to the park, all the time concealing this knife. It's a good 5-minute walk with this knife. More importantly, what does the defendant do besides stabbing him? Before stabbing him, rather? He removes his shirt. By his own admission, he takes his shirt off because he didn't want to get blood. He knew what he was going to do. He knew what the results of what he was going to do would be, so he takes his shirt off. Now, when you begin to add this up, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're going to hear one other crucial point raised by Dr. Tremonti. Because when she's interviewing the defendant, and she's interviewed him a couple times, Dr. Tremonti asked him, when you got the knife out and you hit it, what did you do then? He said, I walked outside. She said, well, who was outside? And he acknowledges,
What's good, Miss D55? I see you. Appreciate you joining. What up, Kimberly? I see you. Appreciate you tapping in, family.
Acknowledges, well, there were some young children out there right outside my home. They were friends of my mother. We've known them for a long time. And Dr. Tremonti asked, well, if you couldn't control yourself, why didn't you stab them? And he said, well, because they were friends. Because they were friends. So he could conform his conduct. He went looking for someone who he didn't know. And that someone ultimately ended up to be Connor Verkerke. But when you begin to add this up, when you begin to see the defendant having planned this for a year, having obtained a knife with the idea of killing someone, concealing this knife in his clothing, concealing the knife in the sand, taking his shirt off so it doesn't get bloody, walking past a group of young children that he could have stabbed if he wanted to seek out an unknown person. The facts are going to indicate that the defendant clearly understood that what he was doing was wrong. And that he clearly could conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. You're also going to hear from a defense psychologist, and she will also have interviewed the defendant, and you're going to find that the defendant's story changes over time when he talks to her. And I submit to you, it gets embellished over time because the defendant recognizes what he has done here and recognizes the fix he's got himself in right now. He changes his story to such a significant extent that Dr. Tremonti will tell you he is no longer a credible source of information because he keeps changing his story.
He was 12 years old. What are you talking about? He's no longer a credible source of information. And it sounds like he ain't lied about nothing. He told you he wanted to die. He told the police, come kill me. That's what I saw on TV. I'm going to play the recording. I got the recording coming up, the 911 call that he made. But what is wrong with this dude, man? Ola, what up? What up, Kimberly? And KT Alley Pit Love. What up, though?
Keeps embellishing. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I submit to you, if you look at this situation, and if the person sitting in the defendant's spot was a 30-year-old man or 35-year-old man, you would look at this and say, what a cold, calculated, brutal murder. Well, it's no different just because it was committed by a 12-year-old who's now 13 years old. This was cold, calculated, planned, premeditated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you begin to pull all this together, all the facts together that are going to come forward, the facts are going to indicate that the defendant sought out Connor Burkirk. He sought him out because he didn't know him. And on August 4 of 2014, he concealed the knife, waited till Connor Burkirk's back was to him, and stabbed him to death. The facts are going to indicate the defendant, based on all the facts and circumstances here, is guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. At the conclusion of the proofs, on behalf of Connor Burkirk and the people of the state of Michigan, I'm going to ask that your verdict reflect that.
Crazy, but that's a fact. Hold on, what did Alley Pitt say?
Yes, sir.
KT Alley Pitt Love said, hello everyone, this is a sad story. This poor kid, I'm glad he became a much better person. That's a fact, he did though. We got that coming up for those who ain't seen anything about this. He definitely did become a better person. So yep, shout out to you for that.
The blessing, for real, for real. It's like, I don't know, I didn't think I could make it this far without them.
He is Kent County's youngest killer. 5 years later, he's opening up for the first time.
Jamarion Lawhorn's story starts with tragedy, but now it's a story of forgiveness.
He was just 12 years old when he became Kent County's youngest killer, randomly stabbing 9-year-old Connor Verkerke on a Kentwood playground. Today, he's all grown up, 17 years old.
After his court hearing today, he talked with News 8's Ken Kolker about his childhood, about the death, and about the forgiveness he didn't think he deserved.
Jamarion Lawhorn was in court today for a regular hearing, an update on his progress toward rehabilitation and freedom, but it turned into so much more.
At his first court hearing 5 years ago, Jamarion Lawhorn wore shackles. Today, at his review hearing, he smiled more than once. The grandmother of his victim sat in the courtroom behind him to support him.
I feel like as growing up, this was the love I needed, and this love I'm getting now.
Lawhorn stabbed Connor Verkerke at random in 2014 with a kitchen knife, believing that responding police would kill him and end what was a miserable childhood.
They're gonna come and kill me. Yes, I did it. Because I'm fed up with life and I want to die.
He had been abused by his mom and stepdad.
I had no right to kill Connor. I killed him out of anger that I was feeling. And it's only for me. It's like, it's time for me to make it right, to own up to my mistakes and just give back to the community for what I took.
Since the death, he has been locked up and getting counseling at the Muskegon River Youth Home near Everett. He's in the 11th grade, is planning for college.
It kind of sounds like a broken record at this point, but that's a good broken record because what I mean by that is that Jamarion continues to do extremely well.
Today, the judge gave him permission to take excursions with his victim's grandmother, who already visits him regularly and even wrote a book about the case.
He wants to go to the YMCA and maybe movies and yeah, just wherever he wants, some adventures.
The judge also approved excursions with a former juvenile detention worker and a woman who writes and visits Lawhorn often.
Honestly, the one thing I really struggle with is forgiveness, because I just never understood how Miss Tony could forgive me for what I did. And it's like, I just want to prove to the world that I'm not who they thought I was that day.
What's Jamarion going to be in 10 years?
I mean, I want to help people that's in a situation like what I was in, to honor them. because it's a lot of people out there that need that help. A lot.
Lawhorn will continue to live at the juvenile facility near Everett until he's about 19. That's if the judge can rule that he's been rehabilitated.
At 5, we looked at the appeal of Jamarion Lawhorn, the teen who killed a child at the age of 12. But even as his appeal is being heard, his mother also seeks to have her conviction overturned for abusing the boy in the months before the murder.
Barton Dieters is back to bring us the story. A mother and son looking to have another chance in court. Barton?
Anita Lawhorn remains on probation until the year 2020 for abusing her son Jamarion in May of 2013. More than a year later, in August of 2014, Jamarion would stab 9-year-old Connor Verkerke to death on a
What up, Joni 4? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe on your way in. Appreciate the love, family. Happy 2025 to all y'all.
Kentwood playground. Investigators would find that the Lawhorn home was in deplorable condition, and both mother and son would tell police that she would give him what they called whoopings. Investigators would also find scars on Jamarion they believed caused by something like an electrical cord. And in November of 2015, a judge would sentence her to a year in jail and 5 years of probation. She spent 150 days behind bars and could be sentenced to the remaining time if the judge finds she did not live up to the terms of her probation. In the time since her sentencing, she has appeared in Kent County Family Court and has been able to maintain custody of her remaining children. Judge Paul Denenfield praising her progress. But her son would tell the judge he rarely sees her at the juvenile home, and she has not shown up at the hearings regarding the boy's progress. The now 15-year-old told a judge he did not want to see his mother forced to come to see him. Anita Lawhorn's appeal was heard last week, and her attorneys say the child abuse statute on which she was convicted is too vague and overly broad. They say it's impossible for a normal person to know where the line is between legal corporal punishment and abuse. They say the sentence was too harsh and was influenced by the conviction of her son. The defense says that is unfair and violates a basic legal concept that a person should only be punished for the crimes they personally committed. The Kent County Prosecutor's Office argues that the scarring indicates that Anita Lawhorn knew or should have known that she'd gone beyond appropriate punishment. Now, it's a long shot at either of these appeals will result in the cases being overturned. Appeals courts are very reluctant to overturn the verdict of a jury unless there's clear and compelling evidence of injustice. We'll continue to monitor these cases and keep you updated. In studio, Barton Dieters.
19th birthday, Lawhorn says he is ready to leave an Osceola County youth home and get on with his life. 13 on your side's John Hogan has a look at what's next in that process.
It was here in August of 2014 that Jamarion Lawhorn fatally stabbed a 9-year-old boy. More than 6 years later, is he ready for freedom? Lawhorn's attorney says yes.
He walks free on his own with all the support systems that have been put in place already.
Charles Clapp is the attorney.
Dang, not the Little Mermaid. You're going to have to go and watch Little Mermaid and bring your vibes up. My bad, family, but hey, this story is important. It gotta get some light on it.
Representing 18-year-old Jamarion Lawhorn. A review hearing took place Tuesday before Kent County Circuit Court Judge Paul Denenfield.
I continue to be impressed and so pleased about how well you've done and are doing.
It has been a long road, to be sure.
He was a very troubled young man, going through all sorts of problems.
Lawhorn was just 12 years old when he fatally stabbed Connor Verkerke with a kitchen knife Lawhorn hid in the playground sand at Pinebrook Village Mobile Home Park. His defense team says years of abuse at home drove Lawhorn over the edge.
I don't think he could understand it or fathom it.
Lawhorn was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sent to the Muskegon River Youth Home in Everett, now called Everett Youth Academy. During Tuesday's hearing, Lawhorn says he is ready to leave the facility and start a new life.
I feel like I'm just ready for something new.
That is a possibility come March when Lawhorn turns 19. One possibility has him living with Paula Cresswell, who became an advocate for Jamarion Lawhorn and attended Tuesday's virtual hearing.
And the Cresswell situation is something that you think can work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love her.
Denenfeld will decide in March whether Lawhorn should be released without any strings attached or if he should remain under court supervision for 2 more years.
It's a hard decision for me. I think you can probably understand that.
Clapp says he believes Lawhorn has proven he is ready for the next step.
What up, family? Like I said, we diving deep. It's a deep one tonight. We got a little bit more going in. Let's see the opening statements of the defense real quick. And then we play the verdict a little bit later. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. Tap in. Share with everybody. Trying a little something different tonight.
I often think that the perfect juror would be an author or a movie director. And why? Because you're going to be hearing things out of context, it appears, out of order, simultaneous lives happening, and you're going to have to put it all together in your mind before you can put out the book or put out the movie. You're going to have to keep that order in your mind as you go through this. You're going to be finding out things that you wish you would have known before you heard someone else testify. That's one of the reasons why the law allows you to take notes. And if you want to do that, that's one of the main reasons for it, so that you can put it all together in proper context at the end. There are simultaneous lives here. There's the life of Michael or Connor Verkerk. Mr. Reynolds right, totally innocent victim. Didn't deserve this. Tragic. And then there's the life of Jamarion Lawhorn. And you're going to learn about that as well. And you'll draw your own conclusions about that as well. But some of the things you're definitely going to hear about is that he was abused and neglected almost his entire life. You're going to hear things that happened in 2005, things that happened to him in 2013. Oh yeah, about a year prior to this. You're going to hear that he was beaten often with an extension cord in his back and his legs, whipped by his stepfather. You're going to hear that he was hit by his mother with a belt. You're going to hear that he tells people, I'm bad. I must be bad. I'm a bad person. You're going to hear that this abuse gets disclosed to people at school. This abuse gets disclosed ultimately to the government through CPS, people that are supposed to be protecting children. And the parents are investigated. And actually, even the parents admit some of this took place, especially in 2013. And you'll see photos of the scars a year later of what took place to him. And you'll hear testimony at the school recommended he should get some treatment. He should get some help, some mental health help. No child can go through this without getting some help from a professional. And then in 2013, another investigation took place because of these scars, because of this obvious abuse that he disclosed. And unfortunately, nothing was done except they decided, well, let's have him move in with his father in New York. And he was with his father for a year.
Drop the link.
But then he came back and lived with his mother and his stepfather again. And he thought, and at that point, you'll hear that Things seem to be going well. Maybe now it was over. But then, for a week prior to this incident, you'll hear testimony that it'll be conflicting. Some will say abuse started again. Some will say he was threatened every day to restart all of this abuse again. And all the same things come back to him. And did he do actions that would reflect what he was thinking and what was happening to him? Yes, he'd get in trouble. He'd get in trouble at school. He'd do things that you'd shake your head and go, well, why is this happening? He'd set fire to a bed at his home. And you'll hear testimony of that. And what was done? Did he go to for any mental health assistance, any mental health treatment? No. And you'll hear testimony that,
as you see, this pretty deep right here. You got anything deep? We can let it roll in the background a little bit.
when the parents were confronted with this, well, you should get him some help. And they'll say, yeah, we'll do that. And you'll hear testimony that they didn't. And then you'll hear that he came back again. And he's back. And he encounters what's going to be a repeat of what he was living through before, when no one did anything about it. And so he said, I just can't deal with this anymore. So he takes pills, his mother's pills, psychotropic medication, sitting in the bathroom. And you'll hear testimony that was in his system after this incident. They found the existence of these drugs in his system. And what does he tell these people who investigate? There's a lot of things that Mr. Bramble's right. A lot of things are inconsistent. But one thing that is consistent, I want to kill myself. He tells everybody that. I tried to kill myself. I took these pills. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stab someone, so they'll put me on the electric chair. Or they'll inject me with a substance that'll kill me. Or they'll put me in jail for the rest of my life. That is where this young man was at that time in his life. That's the kind of thing he was living under. You're going to hear testimony that just prior, within an hour, maybe less, we don't know exactly, but prior to this incident happening, you'll hear testimony that he was on punishment in the home. He was already not doing his chores, and he was...
Nah, Joni Ford, they didn't say how he ended up going back with his mom and them. They didn't say how it happened.
On punishment. And what happens then? He happens to be on the computer. He's been told.
Well, at least not yet. This is the opening statements. I ain't gonna play the whole trial right now, but this is just the opening statements. And I know he don't say it's only 5 more minutes of this part, but
not to be on the computer. But he gets on the computer. And stepdad calls home. Talks to his little sister. He says, how's Jamarion? Well, Jamarion's on the computer. All right. Stepdad says, let me talk to him. And you'll hear testimony of what they talk about. Okay? It'll be up to you to decide what the actual story is. But after that conversation, you'll have to decide what his state of mind was. You'll have to decide what he did and why. Because ultimately, that'll help you determine whether or not he fits the definition of being legally insane, of actually committing this act, which is not denied. Indeed, he said he did it right afterwards to everyone. There's no inconsistency there. And Mr. Bramble would have you think that he was deliberate and had appreciated the full wrongfulness of what he was doing. But I'll submit to you that after you hear the testimony, there's another explanation. It's equally plausible, if not more so. And that is, he didn't really appreciate the wrongfulness of his conduct. That he was, at that point, so overwhelmed by what he'd been experiencing his whole life and what he was about to experience when his stepfather came home. And understanding that every time he went to an adult, they failed him. That he had no choice. This was his only way out. He even tried to kill himself. And that failed. And ladies and gentlemen, when you cut through all of the evidence, that's what you're going to find. And you're going to hear a lot of testimony both ways, who said what and when, and some of it will be consistent and some of it will be inconsistent. And you'll have to use your common sense to determine what really happened. And Mr. Bramble's right, there'll be testimony from experts on both sides. Dr. Rao will testify. And although Mr. Bramble says Dr. Rao was hired by the defense, actually he worked for the same center, Chief worked for the same Center of Forensic Medicine as Dr. Tremonti, actually examined quite a few more people for the Forensic Center than Dr. Tremonti has done. And certainly applies the same standards. They happen to disagree. It'll be up for you to determine who you believe is more accurate. Or you may not believe either one. But the one thing you will hear from everyone is that at the time before, during, and after this incident, Jamarion Lawhorn was mentally ill. That won't be a problem for you to find because no one's going to say he wasn't. No expert is going to say he was not mentally ill as a result at the time of this incident. So that prong of your test is already decided, will be. And then you'll just have to determine what's left. And you'll go back and obviously deliberate. And no one will dispute what a horrible tragedy this is for the Verkerk family. And no one will dispute that he didn't deserve it. There's no question about that. But you're going to have to determine if he was the only victim.
Thank you.
What up, always lying
Stay 10
love. I
minutes.
see you.
We'll come back and we'll do the first witness, and then my intent is to go into a lunch break. Thank you very much. We'll excuse the jury, please rise.
What they call it, the youngest killer in Michigan. I don't know why they keep using that title. I mean, I guess it's true, but damn, like, yo, shout out to No One with the new instrumental, God's Hands. Okay, we gonna have to play that. Always lying love in the building. What's good, family? I see you. Appreciate you.
Kent County's youngest killer, Jamarion Lawhorn, convicted of killing 9-year-old Connor Verkerk on a Kentwood playground in 2014, was back in court today. Today's hearing was basically just a checkup, giving us an update on his progress. 24-Hour News 8 Ken Kolker has covered this case from the very beginning, and he has our story new at 7.
Perhaps the biggest change is that his mom, convicted of abusing him before the murder, is now visiting Jamarion and calling him regularly.
I see maturity and I see him growing, and he's doing so much better than he was a few years ago. And it's like my son is coming back. The son that I know, that I remember, I'm starting to see him come back.
Those visits are thanks to Connor's grandmother, who, despite her own loss, regularly drives her to meet with Jamarion, a 160-mile round trip.
That's really totally extraordinary.
It goes beyond forgiveness.
Jamarion no longer looks like the little boy who killed Connor in August 2014. He did it, he said, because he wanted to die himself. He had lived a life of abuse. He's 15 now, still at the Muskegon River Youth Home, a lockdown center near Everett. Today, he responded to the judge's questions with one-word answers.
How do you think you're doing? Good.
Jamarion has improved pretty significantly since the last hearing, so he's doing very well.
He's been diagnosed with PTSD and is on new meds.
Which has drastically reduced his flashbacks and his night terrors.
While he still thinks about suicide, he no longer acts on those thoughts, and he is showing remorse.
He certainly has taken full responsibility.
He feels bad, and, you know, he's been talking about wanting to apologize to people, and, you know, and I really just think he's maturing. I want him to come home.
And that was Ken Kolker reporting. The juvenile system has jurisdiction of Jamarion until he's 19, but today prosecutors told us they plan to ask a judge to extend that until he's 21. The goal, they say, is to get him to a point where he won't have to go to an adult prison, which means he'd be a free man.
Shout out to No One with the new track. Y'all go sub up. Show them some love. Perfect sound. Perfect sound for the background. Appreciate you, family. Y'all go sub up. Dropping them new intros.
Where's your emergency?
I have the address.
Hello, do you have an emergency?
Can I have a police officer at 5657 Madison?
So it's 5657?
Yes.
Okay. And what's happening there?
I just stabbed someone.
You did?
Yes.
Who was it that you just stabbed?
I don't know. I'm fed up with life.
You what?
I'm fed up with life.
Okay, did you stab yourself?
No. Well, I did take a whole bunch of pills to kill myself.
Okay, what's your name?
Jamarion Lawhorn.
What is your first
come
name?
Get me and lock me up forever. For life.
Okay, did you...
Prevent out. Take me to Jupiter. I don't want to be on this earth anymore. Kill me.
Okay, that person you stabbed, are they there with you?
No.
Where are they?
I don't know. He ran.
He ran off?
Could you hurry up and come and get me?
Yeah, we're on the way, but I'm going to ask you some more questions. Can you spell your first name? I didn't understand it.
Jamarion.
Okay, and your last name?
Lawhorn. Lawhorn.
Okay, and you don't know who this person was that just came up by you?
Nope.
Okay. And do you still have the knife?
No.
Okay. What did you stab them with?
A knife.
Okay. Where is that?
In the grass.
Okay, so it's out in the grass?
Mhm.
And the person you stabbed was a male, right?
Hurry up.
Hurry up, why? What are you doing?
The person just came. They're gonna try to beat me. They're gonna try to beat me. So hurry up and come kill me or take me to jail. Do something. Eject me. How you do on movies? Give me an electric tray. I don't care how I die. Just in the way.
Okay. All right. Who's there with you? Who did you ask the address of?
Some man. Come
For
kill
what?
me.
Who did you ask the address to? Who was that guy?
Excuse me. Can I get your name? Quinn.
Quinn?
Yep.
Okay. Is he there with you? Did he see who you stabbed? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on.
They found the knife, too. They found the knife.
Did he get stabbed? Did you stab him?
They're going to come and kill me. Yes, I did it. Because I'm fed up with life and I want to die. I'm going to kill.
Man, that's crazy. I can't even get excited as I wanted to get. What up, Tammy Lewis? I see you. Grand evening, everyone. Shout out to Chloe Albert's Revenge. Y'all show her some love. Drop some slime umbrellas. Show her some love. Appreciate the super chat, family. I got my pity and emotional support bulldog after her brother died. But when I need my emotional support from her right now, she's snoring on her couch. Shake my head on the other couch. My bad, it's kind of far away. Y'all show some love to Chloe Albert's Revenge. I'm gonna play that one more time. That shit was kind of crazy right there. I wasn't expecting it to hit me like that, but that shit was deep. Appreciate y'all, family. What up, Tammy Lewis?
911, where's your emergency?
I have the address.
Hello, do you have an emergency?
Can I have a police officer at 5657 Madison?
So it's 5657?
Yes.
Okay. And what's happening there?
I just stabbed someone.
You did?
Yes.
Who was it that you just stabbed?
I don't know. I'm fed up with life.
You what?
I'm fed up with life.
Okay, did you stab yourself?
No. Well, I did take a whole bunch of pills to kill myself.
Okay, what's your name?
Jamarion Lawhorn.
What is your first name?
Get me and lock me up forever. For life.
Okay, did you...
out. Take me to Jupiter. I don't want to be on this earth anymore. Kill me.
Okay, that person you stabbed, are they there with you?
No.
Where are they?
I don't know. He ran.
He ran off?
Could you hurry up and come and get me?
Yeah, we're on the way, but I'm going to ask you some more questions. Can you spell your first name? I didn't understand it.
Jamarion.
Okay, and your last name?
Lawhorn. Lawhorn.
Okay, and you don't know who this person was that just came up by you?
Nope.
Okay. And do you still have the knife?
No.
Okay. What did you stab them with?
A knife.
Okay. Where is that?
In the grass.
Okay, so it's out in the grass?
Mm-hmm.
And the person you stabbed was a male, right?
Hurry up.
Hurry up, why? What are you doing?
The person just came. They're gonna try to beat me. They're gonna try to beat me, so hurry up and come kill me or take me to jail, do something. Ask me how you do on movies. Give me an electric tray. I don't care how I die. Just in the way.
Okay. All right. Who's there with you? Who did you ask the address of?
Some man. Come
For
kill
what?
me.
Who did you ask the address to? Who was that guy?
Excuse me? Can I get your name? Quinn.
Quinn?
Yep.
Okay. Is he there with you? Did he see who you stabbed? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on.
They found the knife, too. They found the knife.
Did he get stabbed?
They're gonna come and kill me. Yes, I did it. Because I'm fed up with life and I want to die. I'm going to kill.
Cynthia Torp, what's good, family? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. Shout out to No One for the beat. It's the perfect little mood. I like it. Perfect mood setter. This was a crazy situation, man. I couldn't believe this. When I started watching this, I was like, yo, I gotta talk about this.
That fateful day, what his life was like after sentencing, and how Jamarion is making the most of his second chance.
I'm trying to get my story out there.
You know, a lot of people heard the story, but they haven't heard the voice.
In 2014, he was thrust into the spotlight after a brutal stabbing on a Kentwood playground.
A lot of people remember that scared kid in the courtroom. But what do you want people to know about who you are now?
They put on the headlines, Kent County's youngest killer, and I know a lot of people address me as Kent County's youngest killer, but you know, when you approach me, I'm Jamarion Lawhorn.
Now, nearly 8 years later.
When that story first came out, nobody knew the real Jamarion. And it's crazy.
Jamarion Lawhorn.
That was me at my worst.
Is ready to tell his side of the story.
Nobody would know how that day went besides, you know, me.
The summer days were winding down, and kids like Michael Connor Verkerke, who was known as Connor, were soaking up every last minute, playing like he often would at the playground near Pinebrook Village Mobile Home Park.
Let's go back to that day. What do you remember about that day?
I remember, you know, I was going through a lot. And one thing I do remember is I was numb. I was really numb. And it had got to the point where I was so numb that, you know, I couldn't sleep.
Jamarion left home that day troubled, headed for the same playground.
Did you usually go there and like play every day? Was it pretty common for you to go there?
I actually seen his family and them a lot. I would see their kids out playing, and I usually would ride my bike through there.
That day would be very different, with Jamarion stabbing 9-year-old Connor to death.
I seen Michael, you know, and it's like at that moment my intentions wasn't, you know, to hurt, but I snapped.
Connor was stabbed 4 times and also suffered a cut to his arm. His younger brother tried to get him back home to get help, but it was too late.
Connor was laying there, and there was blood everywhere.
No words to explain holding my dying son in my arms. No way to count the trauma of his brothers watching him die.
When I realized he died, it was like, that's when everything settled in. That's when I realized what I did, and I knew at that point that I messed up.
I offered him my phone. I assumed he was calling his mother. Lo and behold, he was calling 911.
I just stabbed someone. You're dead. Yeah. Who was it that you just stabbed? I don't know. The person's in pain. They're gonna try to beat me. They're gonna try to beat me. So hurry up and come kill me or take me to jail and stop them. Exactly why you were moving.
Investigators would later learn that Jamarion had taken prescription pills that day. Claims of child abuse at his home would also soon be revealed.
He must have been in a lot of pain to think that that was the best way out.
That still didn't give me, you know, the right to take a life. And I want to be clear, I don't want to make any excuses for what I did. You know, I'm taking full responsibility, and I embrace that. I got to.
Jamarion was charged as an adult with first-degree murder. As his case moved through the system, his mother, Anita Lawhorn, and stepfather Bernard Harold also made headlines, charged with child abuse after bruises were found on Jamarion's body in juvenile detention.
Beat with a belt by his mother, extension cord by his stepdad, and then grandmother apparently hit him with a sandal. All of that history and his physical examination led to a diagnosis of probable inflicted trauma and pediatric physical abuse.
The case led to another discovery, a child abuse investigation that started in May 2013 that ultimately went nowhere. At the time, a worker with Child Protective Services was called to their home, finding marks on Jamarion as well as what they called deplorable living conditions. That CPS worker never reported it to Kentwood Police.
We think CPS dropped the ball, DHS dropped the ball. And had they done their job, maybe we wouldn't be here, and maybe Jamarion wouldn't be where he is either.
Jamarion's stepfather pleaded guilty, while his mother was convicted of third-degree child abuse in 2015. Jamarion invoked the Fifth Amendment during her trial and did not testify. In September 2015, it would be Jamarion's turn to face a judge. Now 13, his defense attorneys argued that he was legally insane at the time of the murder, pointing to the abuse and trauma he suffered as a child.
I was so scared. I was afraid. My stepfather. I was afraid of my stepfather. I wanted to die because I thought there was no way out.
After 3 days of testimony, Jamarion was found guilty, the teen expressing his remorse with the world at sentencing.
I know what I did was wrong. I just do not understand why I did it. I made a terrible mistake. I just want you to know that I am sorry for all the pain you have been going through.
The judge handing down what's called a blended sentence, probation and 8 years at Muskegon River Youth Home, a chance for Jamarion to grow and change.
Took all the information in.
Where Jamarion completed the organization's 2-week changes course, learning job readiness and life skills for the next chapter.
The first few weeks to making sure Jamarion was on the right path were absolutely critical to his rehabilitation. You could truly see him focusing on being a better version of himself. I think that was very important to him.
That program propelling Jamarion into the workforce thanks to a partnership between 70 x 7 and Next Step of West Michigan. Here inside the old Kindle Furniture Company building, Jamarion went through Next Step's paid training, learning woodworking skills and earning a full-time position.
We build bunk beds, we build bird houses, we build bat houses. What else? We do display stands for Meyer, all type of things.
The faith-based nonprofit proud to offer the Next Step to anyone in need looking for a better life.
It's a place of many chances, second, third, sometimes fourth chance, but it's a place of grace and opportunity.
Phil Nellis, the manager of manufacturing, says Jamarion has become a mentor here, now helping to teach and train new students that were once in his shoes.
Not only is he focused on rebuilding his life in this first year that he's been out, but he's already turning towards how can I help others.
The job has been a chance for Jamarion to prove himself and change perceptions, even among coworkers who've become like family.
You meet me and nothing like it. You wouldn't even know I was even incarcerated or had anything to do with what I did.
A new job and a new place to live. Remember the woman who began writing Jamarion while he was in juvenile custody? Paula Cresswell opened up her Jenison home to the teen, who's become like another son.
So when I got out, it's like she opened her arms and literally taught me adulthood in a way.
It's kind of amazing. It's kind of like watching a kid learn to walk and then ride a bike and then drive a car. The growth has been so fast. The last year, he came home not knowing anything about what it was like to be in a family. And in the last year, he's just a normal part of our home now.
Making the most of his second chance, Jamarion signed up for classes at GRCC, learned to swim and drive, and even bought his first car all on his own.
I'm proud, but I'm not satisfied. I know I can do a lot more, and I know it's a lot more to come.
Do you think it's possible for you to have a normal life?
I've learned the hard way that there's no such thing as a normal life. I embrace my life and the things I've been through.
And during the inevitable ups and downs, Jamarion has a motivation unlike any other to keep moving forward.
I still have days where I feel like I don't deserve what I have, but I realized that it's not right for me to do that.
What up, what up, what up, YP Com Chick? Happy New Year, family. Appreciate you tapping in. Much love, much love. Happy New Year.
Welcome back, folks, and please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've been advised that you have reached a verdict. Is that so?
Yes, we have.
If so, would the foreperson please rise? Sir, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, we have.
Have you signed the verdict form?
Yes, I have.
Would you please announce what your verdict is?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jamarion Lawhorn, guilty in the first degree.
Guilty of first degree.
Guilty of first degree murder.
Of first degree murder.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Guilty of first degree murder. Damn, at 12 years old, 13 years old. And that's a fact no one said. What is very odd to me is that he said on the call that he wanted them to delete him. And he looks like Biggie Smalls in that one picture. And what was the first album called? Ready to Die. Am I reaching? I don't know. That's crazy. I feel energies is real important, and I feel we all embody certain energies. So that could be the same energy of whatever Biggie Smalls was. You never know. But I don't know. I mean, he don't look like Biggie Smalls no more.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me ask you this. I've been advised by your foreperson that the verdict in this case is guilty of first degree murder. So say you all?
Yes.
Do either counsel want me to poll the jurors?
No, Your Honor. Yes.
Mr. Booker?
Yes.
All right. Then here's what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is to start with juror number 1, and I'm going to go right down in the same order. Do I have one of these? Thank you very much. Mr. Gregor, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Barrett, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Martin, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Catt, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lancaster, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Schnepp, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Beam, that is your verdict?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Mr. Oh boy, I think it's Rushi, is that how you pronounce it? Mr. Rushi, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Masty, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tush, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Godfrey, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sella, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Would the bailiff please collect the verdict form from the foreperson?
He got 6 years. I think he ended up staying there like 8 years or something like that though. Like, cause they pressed for him to get another 2 years until, but he still got released before he was 21, I believe though. I think he got out right after he turned 17. Around about 6 years. He did 6 years.
The court finds that the verdict form is consistent with the verdict that
And it was the same judge that let him out. The same judge that's talking right now, that's the one that let him out the 6 years later.
was rendered. Do either counsel want to review the verdict form at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Buccolo?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The court hereby accepts the verdict of guilty of first-degree murder. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank each of you for your jury service. I'm going to ask that you return to the jury room, and I will join you in a few moments. Sometimes people have questions that they want to ask, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, but I won't take up much of your time, and if there are no questions, that's fine too. And ultimately, you will simply be excused. Please report to the jury clerk downstairs before you leave. I want to say a couple of things to you. I think this has been a difficult case. I think that, as both lawyers said, there is a lot of sympathy all the way around, and this is a case about real tragedy. So, to the extent that I have noticed that you've all paid attention, that you've taken the case very seriously, which doesn't surprise me, I especially want to thank you for that. It's always interesting to me because frequently when jurors are being selected, people are very, boy, I don't want to take up the time, and I've got better things to do. So in my experience, often jurors at the end of the case say, this has been a pretty positive experience to learn how the system works and to fulfill your civic duties. I hope that has been your experience in this case as well. So,
send me the link to his pic real quick. I'll pull it up. No one, send me the link if you got it.
So I'm going to excuse you now. I'll be back momentarily. Anything else then to come before the court with Mr. Brown?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Buccolo?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, folks, and she's coming around. I'll let you back. Executive court exhibit on the verdict form. I'm ordering that Jamarion be remanded to juvenile detention. Folks, we will schedule a sentencing hearing. We don't have a date now. In these cases, sometimes we'll have to work with case management to find a date, but I can assure you that we'll do the best we can. Now, I want to remind you folks, because I know you lawyers understand this, because this is a juvenile designated case, there may have to be an evidentiary hearing around the sentencing, because the court is likely going to have to make some findings in that regard. So it will be different than an adult sentence, and I will have to apply certain criteria. I'm sure, I know Ms. Seidel knows the law, and I think that both Mr. Booker and Ms. Raskevitz do as well. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind the criteria that the court has to deal with. I will also at this time order that a pre-sentence report be prepared by the Adult Probation Office because that is also relevant to the sentencing. Counsel, I want to thank all of you for
All right, let me see real quick. Do it got music on it? I don't want to play the music. I got the clip, but let me see. Let me see if it got music on it. Oh, it's gone. All right, I'll put it up in a minute. Let me see real quick. Let's keep it rolling. I'll put it up in a minute. Let me play this last clip. Right here.
Quote, I wish everyone could have met him. He was an incredible young boy. He was funny and sweet and had a flair for theatrics. He used to dress up and put on skits with his brothers. It never gets touched on, but he was gender fluid. When he was stabbed, I was afraid someone had hurt him because maybe they had seen him outside before that day playing in one of his dresses. I always worked so hard to protect him while allowing him to express himself. There is some comfort in knowing that it was not a hate crime against him for being a part of the LGBTQ community. I feel I have made my peace with Jamarion by letting go of any intentions or wishes about his future. His life is his. A lot of people don't know that Jamarion and Connor actually share the same birthday of March 14th. Jamarion says he wants to pay tribute to Connor on that day from now on.
So for me to be standing here right now and be able to talk to y'all is like, it's a blessing for me.
He started by sharing a story at 70 times 7 on his birthday, speaking to returning citizens and juvenile offenders. Jamarion was candid about the tough.
Be able to talk to y'all is like, it's a blessing for me.
He started by sharing a story at 70 times 7 on his birthday, speaking to returning citizens and juvenile offenders. Jamarion was candid about the tough childhood he experienced and the pain that pushed him to commit the crime. He urged everyone listening to own up to their wrongs and realize that every behavior has a consequence.
He kept saying that we are not our mistakes. And it's true. Just because you did one mistake or one bad choice doesn't mean that that's who you are.
Life kind of threw him a bunch of curveballs, and he's got a lot of resilience, and I think hopefully it motivates other people and kids and everybody else to kind of see that you can change your life.
Jamarion says that his birthday is not a day to just celebrate, but to never forget what he did. To see Jamarion's full interview, just look for this story on our website and our news app.
Sorry I had to bring this, man. I'm sorry I had to bring y'all. Sorry I had to bring this to y'all for Christmas Eve. I just want to let y'all know, man, I got away from him, man. He was abusive. He wasn't giving me nothing. He said he gave me $5,000 every week. That's a lie. I never got nothing every week. I get $1,000. He give me $1,000 just to here and there. I never made my own money with him. Like when I was with this, I made $100,000 with Hustle. I've been with Hustle for 3 days. I done made $100,000 already. I ain't got to show that to y'all. I ain't gonna show y'all nothing. Y'all ain't got to worry about that, but y'all gonna see me pop out. But man, all the stuff that he's doing, I did that. Those pills are fake, and that is a BB gun. That is cap, man. And I hate that the image that he making and trying to make it seem like this, but everything he's saying is not real. I just had to bring this to y'all for CPS try to do something or anything. He was with me, giving to me. Man, he told guns around him. They don't supposed to have guns around him. Sugar, she be having guns. Yeah, I got on one time we was in. If you look on this video, I can't go to jail. If you go back, they got on high speed chase, and I was in a car. They didn't think about saying, "Hey, bro, let King got the car, man. It's a child, fool. Hey, fool, on some real, actually man stuff. Hey, King, fool. Hey, let King got the car, fool. Y'all gonna get on y'all high speed, bro. Let King got the car." When we run out of gas, they surround the whole car. Woo, but everything was great. Long story short, everything was great. And I just want to address this to y'all. But I left away from around him. I want to make that clear.
What the hell? Yo, that's crazy. I don't want to have him on there with his shirt off though. That's somebody's young child right there. But what the hell? Shout out to no one. What was that? All right, I got some more for y'all. Hey, what about this? Y'all been hearing about this right here?
From the investigation into the death of Robert Brooks here. I want to put this tweet up. This is from our colleague there at Fox 5 New York, Linda Schmidt, with body camera footage there. Now, remember, viewer discretion is advised. She says, upstate prisoner beaten to death. Correction officers' body cam videos were released today by Letitia James in the death of Robert Brooks at the Marcy Correctional Facility. And Hochul has issued a statement as well. It says 14 people will be fired over this. So this is an ongoing investigation into the death of Robert Brooks. He died December the 10th of this year after an encounter with New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers. This was at Marcy Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York. That's in Oneida County. Now, the day before, on December the 9th, Brooks was transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility to Marcy Correctional Facility. Those are both in the same county, Oneida County, according to James. Brooks, she says, who was handcuffed with his hands behind his back, was then taken into a medical examination room where the events captured in the video took place here. So remember, we want to bring you some of this body camera video. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's take some of that. All right, so this was just released today by the office of New York Attorney General Tish James here. And so what you're watching right now is the moment in the wake of the transfer of Brooks from one facility to another here. So according to James, when he was transferred to this medical examination room, you're going to see it in just a moment, he was pronounced dead in the early morning hours of December 10th. But the action here, all right, we're going to watch it. Viewer discretion is advised. And there is Brooks there after being transferred from one facility to another. You are going to see the actions, and it's very difficult to watch. It's graphic. Officers there appearing to beat Brooks there.
And yo, this is extra crazy to watch like this happen. And imagine like, all right, so the young boy that we was just watching, Jamarion, he was lucky that he got a judge that was lenient on him, gave him them 6 years and let him get up out. But who knows if they would have gave him them extra couple years that the state was asking for, and he been in for a little bit longer, he could have ended up like this a couple years later. And it's like, you know, like this is not punishment. This is not what do you call it? Rehabilitation. This has nothing to do with rehabilitation right here.
All right, so if you're just joining us for this story, this is what we know. This body-worn camera released by Attorney General Tish James's office that appears to show members of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers there at Marcy Correctional Facility beating Robert Brooks. Brooks was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. He was then taken to a medical examination room there where the events captured in the video took place, she says. Now, Brooks was then transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead in the early morning hours of December the 10th there.
That's a fact, KT. What do you mean they was fired? I mean, of course they should be fired, but they need to be prosecuted. They need to be getting some jail. This is murder. What are you talking about? But y'all gonna fight to keep these kids up, and y'all sitting here beating, abusing people. Man, trigger warning. This shit got me triggered.
Now, Governor Hochul's office said 14 members here have been fired for their role in this. We also are getting statements in from elected leaders in New York. We're going to step away from this video. You're going to hear from James in just a second here. Let's put this up. So this is from State Senator of New York, Rob Ort. he says this: "I'm sickened by the brutal and senseless attack at Marcy Correctional Facility. The footage is absolutely appalling, and these violent actions cannot be tolerated. While this incident will understandably outrage New Yorkers, it's important to recognize that this horrific event does not reflect the dedicated service of the countless correction officers who risk their lives every day to maintain order and safety in our prisons." He says those responsible must be held fully accountable. There is no excuse for this behavior. That's from New York State Senator Rob Ort. In the meantime here, let's play the original announcement today by New York State Attorney General Letitia James.
Good afternoon. Today my office is releasing video from the investigation into the death of Mr. Robert Brooks. Mr. Brooks had been incarcerated at Mohawk Correctional Facility and was transferred to Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th. During the incident, he was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. He was pronounced dead at Wynn Hospital in Utica on December 10th. I do not take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability. My deepest condolences go out to Mr. Brooks's family. Under New York law, my office investigates every case in which an officer of the law, including a correctional officer, may have caused the death of a civilian. On December 16th, my office announced that it had opened an investigation into Mr. Brooks's death. As in every case, the attorneys and investigators in my office are conducting an exhaustive review of the facts and the evidence. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly. As part of the investigation, my office obtained video from body-worn cameras that 4 of the correction officers were wearing at the time of the incident. The 4 officers had their body-worn cameras powered on, but did not activate them. So their cameras were recording video in standby mode without recording sound. My team met with Mr. Brooks's family earlier this week, and they viewed the footage. These videos are shocking and disturbing, and I advise all to take appropriate care before choosing to watch them. We are releasing 8 videos today from 4 officers' body-worn cameras. 4 videos, one from each officer, that each run for the full 30 minute length of the standby mode recording.
So real quick, Joni Ford said, people keep doing shit knowing there's a video. Imagine things that done when there's no video surveillance. Horrible, horrible, horrible. That's a fact. And you know, they actually didn't press their recording. None of them activated their camera, so they didn't even know they was being recorded. But that's a fact. Like we've been experiencing this as a people for a long, long time. And they just now getting it on camera, so they just now having a reason the way to prove it or fight back. But this ain't new. This been happening.
And a second version of the same 4 videos, which have been cropped to show only footage involving Mr. Brooks and the interactions between the officers and Mr. Brooks. Again, I encourage taking caution before viewing. I want to reiterate that we are investigating this case thoroughly and using every tool at our disposal to ensure that there is transparency and accountability for the events that preceded Mr. Brooks's death. I also want to make clear that this video and the conduct of these officers should not reflect poorly on the work and professionalism of the countless correction officers and correctional facility nurses throughout the state who go to work every day to protect and serve those in their care. And now we will play the 4 cropped videos I mentioned earlier. And all 8 videos will be.
All right, so that was the message there from Tish J.
Trigger warning. I ain't gonna play the whole thing now, but I might play a little more later. Let's bring up back to no one with the God's hands. Dragging this man around like, and you know why they cut the audio? They acting like they didn't have audio, but you know why they had the audio. You know why they cut the audio, because they sitting there talking about what's happening with no remorse. They don't even care. They know what they doing. Shout out to Sustain Overruled. Y'all go sub up. Show her some love. Appreciate you, family. That's a fact, Chloe Alba's Revenge. Like, how they should just always be on. Like, how can you control when you cut them on and off? Like, what? They was cops, but what she was saying is they not patrol officers. No one. She was saying that they was transporting him from one prison to another or something like that, or to a hospital. They was transporting them from a prison. Basically, they not street cops. That's what she was saying. They not on the streets. Corrections officers. Yeah, crazy shit right there, man. Some crazy shit right there. I don't even know what to say after that. I had a longer clip. I got a full clip, but I ain't about to play it right now. I might play it on the way out, because I ain't gonna want to say nothing after we play that full one. But anyway, what about Quaneesha Johnson? Y'all know about Quaneesha Johnson? Let's get a little bit into her, just a little bit, just a little taste.
She feels about everything that happened.
Something I went through for the rest of my life. The family's been here. Very supportive, yes. A lot of them came from Philadelphia. It's sad. I mean, they say people show no remorse. I'm very remorseful. Just because I don't sit there and tear, cry, and I can't cry on cue. I'm mentally disturbed. I'm disturbed and whole, you know. I can't express it enough. Like, I love my to death, and I still to this day.
What would you have changed about that night if you could go back?
What I would change? Probably would have. I mean, I didn't know where to go, but you know, if I could have got my kids and left, which I was aiming to do. I don't really think there was anything else that I could have changed. You know, that was my home. My kids was in there. All I wanted to do was retrieve my kids.
Johnson also said she wishes that the police had done for a new trial with the same judge, and if that motion for a new trial is denied, then they go to the appellate court. The judge mentioned that 911 call that was made in 2018 by an ex-girlfriend, the one who didn't appear, who the defense wanted to bring into the courtroom, and they have accused the victim's family of potential witness tampering. He said that could be a big issue on their appeal or in their appeal. But I asked him about how rare it is and whether it's really rare for him to have a client out on bond after they've been sentenced to time behind bars. Take a listen.
This is the first case I've ever handled personally where it's actually happened. So you don't see it happen a lot, but you know, what Court TV knows and what your viewers know, what the judge knows, what the jurors did not know was that we were looking for a missing witness that was critical to our case. I don't know if that played into the judge's decision, but the judge knows we were looking for a missing witness that was critical to our case, and that the family of the decedent in this case had been in touch with that missing witness, had talked to her, had spent time with her, and so the judge knows that, and I don't know if that played any into her mind, but obviously that's going to be an issue that's going to be important for me to raise on my motion for new trial.
Keep in mind, in this case, the victim's family and the prosecution were asking for 30 years behind bars for this defendant, and with much of that being something that would not be served on house arrest, the way the defense asked for and did get a significant portion, Ted.
It's very rare you see someone not being remanded into custody after, first of all, being convicted, but now after the sentencing, for sure. I just figured we'd see her in handcuffs and being carted off to the Department of Corrections. Not the case. We also heard, though, before that, a lot of emotion from the victim family, impact at both sides, especially DeMonte's mother.
Right. We first heard from his sister, who said that her brother was her anchor. He was her rock in this really confusing world, that he was someone who really loved Quaneesha Johnson, that he was head over heels, was always telling his family about her, how lucky he was to be with her. And then his mother spoke. She had a really poignant victim impact statement where she explained to the judge her son is not the monster that he was painted as by the defense.
You took his wife and said bye. You showed no remorse for him. None. Not for me, not for my daughter, not for his kids. I can't believe that I felt sorry for you for a moment. But I didn't know all the facts. I didn't know everything. I have no remorse for you. I have no empathy. Because you had no remorse for my son, and you showed no empathy for him. You deserve every single year they can give to you.
And Bernetta Campbell left early during that sentencing hearing. She heard the beginning parts of what the judge was saying, and it seemed that she didn't want to hear anymore, especially when there was the discussion of the house arrest for the portion of this sentence that Quaneesha Johnson is going to serve. So it's clearly been very difficult for them to sit through.
That's crazy too. I got the body count of that. We're gonna get into a little bit of that before we wrap it up. Appreciate y'all being here, family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. KT says, I thought he was in a mental institution and he was having an episode, so he got taken to the medical ward of the mental institution. I could be wrong. You could be right. I think he was going from a prison to a mental hospital or something, but he was having an episode, so I'm not sure. I gotta look a little more into it. That's what I have prepared for tonight. But appreciate y'all, family. We're gonna get into a little bit of this body cam footage of Quaneesha Johnson. She shot her baby daddy, and she was sentenced to 20 years, 5 to serve in prison, 5 to serve on probation, and then 5 to serve on house arrest, and then 10 on probation. And she was out right now on bond to fight her appeal. And most people don't get out on appeal, but hey, this is like, I don't know, it's kind of like a domestic violence situation. So let me know what y'all think before we get up out of here. Appreciate y'all being here. Much love to everybody.
Well, you disappearing all that lying ass thing ass shit. You gonna get mad because I react.
He don't live here. He don't pay no bills. His name not on the lease. He don't have no mail. There's nothing here that's his besides a trash bag full of clothes that he got from DeKalb County Jail. He can take that and he can go. And he can put my daughter in the house if she get colic, because I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Man, they not touching my daughter, so shut your fucking mouth.
That's they don't touch my daughter. You can put my daughter in the house though.
Nah.
Your name not on the birth certificate, so therefore it's not your daughter. It's mine.
You ain't got no names on your birth certificate.
It is. I do. Let me go get it.
Hey, that's a fact. Real quick. YP Comchick said this is sad. It's like after the pandemic, people stopped caring about each other. It's a thing that Chan My Black is Golden talk about all the time. She called it COVID psychosis. A lot of people got sick and a lot of crazy stuff started happening, and she think that it has something to do with what she calls COVID psychosis. So we might get into that on another video. But appreciate y'all, family.
Hey, watch out, bro.
Hey,
watch out.
Please. I don't want my baby out here. The wind is blowing. She don't have a head on.
Just give her the baby.
Give me my baby.
What about your other baby? She been going all night.
I'm
you don't care about your baby.
You ain't care about it either. That's why I got locked up when she was here.
Hey, we not finna fight on this baby.
Give me my baby though. Like she's gonna get colic.
Give us a second. We're gonna bring him back inside.
I'm gonna get the birth certificate. He's not on it. At this point, it's not his baby. And if y'all want to do a DNA test to identify that.
Nah, this thing, no, we ain't going that far.
You get drunk?
You allowed them.
You forgot where you went 3 hours?
I want you to look at my daughter's diaper. Auntie Dad's dead.
Nah, nigga, I was changing her diaper.
Where your other kids?
I was changing her diaper.
Where your other kids?
With their mama.
With their mom? Hey, we don't talk to.
We not here to listen to y'all go back and forth.
No problem.
I'm trying to tell you.
My kids here though. My kids here though. I see my kids every day. You don't see none of yours. You ain't gonna see her after this today.
For what? Cause you with that?
No.
You got mad cause you disappeared?
Because I'm cool. That's why. Cause you broke. And that's what you got on trying to
Hey, stop. Because at this point, you're antagonizing. You stop.
I'm not. He has my daughter out here. Don't let me have my daughter out here.
You're not listening to nothing that's being said. You're not listening to nothing that's being said.
So when I shoot him, after I done called the cops and did everything I was supposed to do.
Just make sure you can articulate what's going on.
I can. I'm showing you.
You better really be able to articulate that.
I can. This is my household. He have no residency, nothing.
Make sure you read up on it and make sure you can articulate when it comes to
I've done it. I did that before I got my license.
Okay.
All right.
Come here, man.
Hurry up.
Did she shoot you?
Yeah, before I die.
All right, lay down. Sit down here. Where is it at?
On November 27, 2022, at 10:02 a.m., DeKalb County Police received a call from 30-year-old Quaneesha Johnson. She told dispatchers she needed an escort home because she was afraid of her boyfriend, DeMonte Smith. She explained that she had been out celebrating a friend's birthday, her first night out since giving birth 2 months earlier. When she checked her phone that morning, she found threatening messages from DeMonte, who had been watching her 3 children overnight. She told them that her fear wasn't unfounded. Just 2 weeks earlier, during a heated argument, DeMonte had caught her off guard, grabbed her, and forcefully slammed her to the ground. She hadn't reported that assault to police, but now, with DeMonte sending threatening messages and even making similar threats over the phone, Quaneesha wasn't taking any chances.
Probably did panic alarm. Let her know that's not a thing.
You live here?
I do. This is my house. He's waiting on the set. I don't know where he's in an exit. He's in a window. He's just waiting on the set though, to do whatever the fuck he felt like he wanted to do. My daughters are in here though.
He's in there too?
Yeah. I'm gonna show you him. Look.
Hold on.
You heard him at the door?
Is he opening the door?
I can show you he's at the door.
Y'all go sub up to Survivor Speaks. Appreciate you, family.
I got a gun right here. I'm licensed though.
Okay. Does he have any weapons?
No.
Just for our safety, just put the weapon inside the car for me. Thank you.
Upon arriving at the scene, Quaneesha disclosed to officers that she was a licensed gun owner and had her weapon with her. Following standard safety protocol, the officer instructed her to secure the firearm in her truck before they approached the house to speak with DeMonte. This decision to have Quaneesha temporarily surrender her weapon would later become a contentious issue during her trial.
YP Comchick said, I need some Domino's, FOTG. I got you. Hit me on the email, fogz369@gmail.com, and we can customize whatever type you like. Holla at your boy one time. I got you. Appreciate you, family. And y'all drop some slime brothers for Survivor Speaks. She says, tip the host, flesh of the gods. He puts in that work. That's right, family. You know I do. I get it in for y'all. Make sure we keep it rolling. Appreciate y'all. Y'all drop some slime brothers. Show us some love. Appreciate the support, Survivor Speaks. Y'all go sub up and show her some support as well. She got great content covering all types of trials, all types of information. And she used to be in the system too, so she know what she talking about. Y'all check her out. Show her some love. Her and Mini Survivor. Mini Viver.
DeKalb County Police. You got a key to it?
He need to put his hand in his purse. He don't have no weapon. Unless it's like a kitchen knife or something. He don't have no purse.
I stand by till I get another officer out here. Does he have access to this?
To the garage?
Yeah.
It's inside.
No, the camera.
I can see what's looking at the
So what's going on today?
I would say work. If he felt, whatever kind of way he felt. I have a newborn. She's 2 months. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 4-year-old in here as well. He told my aunt he was gonna. What he say to you, Rhoda? When I get here, he was gonna beat the shit out of me. A couple weekends prior to this, my last time going to work, I worked at the hours. So my last time coming in here, he physically took me from the door and stamped me on my face.
You reported it?
I didn't report it. I was just talking. Yeah, I was just talking to the other cops that was supposed to be out here. I was talking to her. She was a female. I was telling her I should have, but I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, being though he's on probation.
But this is your house and you want to go inside?
This is my house.
And does he live here?
No, my name's on the lease.
No, but does he live here though?
No, he stays here. He doesn't live here.
What I mean is
he staying here?
Where's his residence?
In Jonesboro. I don't know. He has a residence though.
They moved into this house together. That's what's crazy, but I don't know. It ain't funny. I don't know.
What's interesting to note here is that Quaneesha tells officers she's just getting home from work. This directly contradicts the official narrative that she was out clubbing. All media reports and official press releases that I've read state that she was partying with friends. but as we'll see later in this footage, her alleged occupation was a contentious point between her and DeMonte, suggesting there might be more to this discrepancy than initially appears.
Dad, get the police! DeMonte! You mind coming out here and talk to us, see what's going on? We spoke to her, but we want to speak to you because we don't know what's going on.
She got off the seat. She had disappeared for 3 hours. Like I'm mad. So I'm at home watching her kids and my kids. She disappeared for 3 hours.
She say anything? Did you say anything that will cause her to call us?
What would you do if your girl go to work and then disappear with 3 hours and you at home with her kids and your kids? I'ma snap. I snap.
Please ask him to put my baby back so she get college.
It's my baby
like,
too.
She's a newborn.
So drunk ass
Ask him to put her back in the house.
Hold on, let us talk to him for a second.
Alright, she's 2 months though.
Get
All
your
I
drunk
gotta
ass
do
on.
is she gets
You
college.
30, still stripping.
I'm 30 and still stripping. You 30 and still broke.
Well, but it ain't gonna be long. But how long you gonna be stripping? Fuck on.
41 day, correction, 491 day, change this to her.
Walk off. Think about what you're doing. Look, I'm sitting here watching your kids, you with a whole nother nigga. Fat ass nigga.
You gonna talk to us? Stop arguing. Because we trying to figure out what we here now.
Cool, I'm grown ass. I'm doing what I'm doing. I ain't did nothing wrong. She toxic, nigga. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Talk to her.
I got you. But when you saying you snap, what you mean you snap?
I snap. I told her, bitch, stop playing with me. I'm like a goofy. I'm in here watching your kids and my kid and you somewhere else with another nigga. You got off at 6. Calling niggas.
But it didn't go no farther than that.
Fuck no.
I never came here for it to go.
No,
She was scared because she know she was wrong. She was scared. She's scared. She knows she's wrong.
What's she scared for?
Because he put his hands on me 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I am scared. I
She put hands on me too a couple times.
No, I have blue eyes.
Well, you disappearing all that lying ass thing ass shit. You gonna get mad because I react.
He don't live here. He don't pay no bills. His name not on the lease. He don't have no mail. There's nothing here that's his. Besides a trash bag full of clothes that he got from the DeKalb County Jail. He can take that and he can go. And he can put my daughter in the house if she get colic. Because I'm going to have to deal with that.
Man, they're not touching my daughter, so shut your fucking mouth.
That's they don't touch my daughter. You can put my daughter in the house though.
Nah.
Your name not on the birth certificate. So therefore it's not your daughter. It's mine.
You ain't got no names on your birth certificate.
It is. I do. Let me go get it. Because at this point, it's kidnapping.
451, 41 of Injury, 20 westbound before the exit ramp.
Weird. That shit don't look good on you.
Blue Honda Pilot and the silver BMW.
Watch out, bro.
Hey,
please.
I don't want my baby out here. The wind is blowing. She don't have a head on.
Just give her the baby.
Give
me my baby.
What about your other baby?
Give me my
She been
baby.
going all night.
Or I'm
You don't care about your baby.
You ain't care about it either. That's why I got locked up when she was here.
Hey, we not finna fight on this baby.
Give me my baby though. Like she's gonna get colic.
Give us a second. We're gonna bring him back inside.
I'm gonna get the birth certificate. He's not on it. At this point, it's not his baby. And if y'all want to do a DNA test to identify that.
Nah, this thing, no, you ain't going that far.
The toxic nature of their relationship becomes painfully clear. While Quaneesha claims DeMonte is abusive and insists he has no right to live in her home, he counters that she's equally violent and maintains that he does indeed live there. Their exchange grows increasingly hostile as they deliberately provoke each other. He accuses her of being drunk and neglecting her children, while she taunts him about being broke and tells him that he's not even the baby's father because his name wasn't on the birth certificate. The officers find themselves in an impossible position. Faced with conflicting claims about domestic violence and residency, their decisions in the next few minutes about how to handle this situation will have deadly consequences.
Hey.
Man, that shit weird, bro. I'm
I
a real
got
nigga.
you.
I ain't going for that dumb shit.
Well, look.
I'm in this motherfucker taking three of her kids, bro. Plus my newborn. You get off at 6 a.m.
We're gonna talk.
Why the fuck you get home at 10:30, laughing and drunk? These bitch ass Atlanta niggas, dog. I ain't got time for this shit, bro. My mindset ain't built like that. I ain't touch her.
Yeah.
I got my daughter, nigga. I ain't did nothing wrong. I just got out.
You do live here though, right?
Yeah, I got mail her and everything.
How long you been staying here?
It's the same amount of time as she has. We both moved here together.
When?
In December.
Y'all been here since last year, December?
Hey, she got mad because she out creeping at night and she couldn't keep up with her lives. And she was scared to come home. You smart, think. She ain't want to come home, so she used the police.
All right. Let's...
You a cop before anything. You ain't take on your kids one time.
Hey, let's just go inside the house with the baby.
You a cop before anything.
Here's the thing, we can't.
He don't live here. There's nothing in here.
I got mail in her.
You don't. Where?
Listen to what I'm
Where?
Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Okay?
He's not gonna
because
be
when
here.
I originally spoke
You
to
ain't check on your kids all
you told
night.
me he's been staying here since April.
Because he got in jail.
She a liar. She been lying all night.
Hey, let her
Ma'am.
talk.
Thought
You
ass.
said he's been staying here since August. So
Yeah.
technically,
Fuck, you
when I
guys gonna
told
be
you
cool
to let
with
him
this
in,
shit?
you
told
gave
me,
him,
yeah.
you allowed
I
him
told
to
you
stab
that, 'cause he ain't had no
residency.
rest of
You
that.
that drunk?
But you allowed him.
I'm not
Forgot
drunk.
what
I'm
you
sober.
where you went 3
I
hours.
want you look at my daughter's diaper.
Fuck
Auntie
off.
Dad's dead.
Nah,
Where
nigga,
your
I was
other
changing
kids?
her diaper.
Where your other kids?
I was changing
Where your
her
other
diaper.
kids? Where your other kids?
With their mama.
With their mom?
Hey,
But you don't talk to. You don't talk to.
We
You
not
see, right?
here to listen to y'all go
Oh, right.
back and
Okay,
forth.
no problem.
I'm trying to
I was
tell
in
you.
the
My
middle-
kids here though.
I
My
was in
kids
the
here
middle
though. I
changing.
see my kids every day.
It's
You
all
don't
right.
see none of yours.
That's
You ain't
cool.
gonna see her after this today. Like,
For what? Cause you with that?
no.
You got mad 'cause you
you're a broke
disappeared?
ass nigga and I'm cool. That's why. Because you broke. And that's what you got on trying
You,
to get out.
hey, stop! Because at this point you're antagonizing. You stop.
I'm
Stop.
not. He has my dude out here.
You
Don't
ain't
let
seen.
him have my dude out
Stop!
here.
You're not listening to nothing that's being said.
She's
You ain't
gonna
no
get
real-
college.
You're not listening
can tell
to
you
nothing
ain't
that's
real,
being
nigga.
said. You told me he's been staying here since August.
Check on your
He's
kids all
stayed
night.
here since end of August, yes. He got
Ain't
out of
made
the
no
Camp
money
County
from it.
jail. He had
He's
nowhere else
been-
to
that
go.
means he's
So
been
I allowed
here.
him to come here because I went in
Again,
labor
you ain't listening.
in September.
Hey, you can go now.
Like,
You gonna disappear for 3 hours and expect me not
I'm
to
gonna
get
disappear
mad?
again for 3 more hours tomorrow. What's the difference?
You can go ahead and go in the house and place the baby down.
Yeah, we do it.
He tried to come out here with Naira like she was gonna be a pole or something. Yeah, tomorrow you done. I'm getting a shower. What's next? You don't have no residency here. I'm confused.
Do you
Who said
need
what?
Do you need anything else?
He said I'm gonna get my ass up tonight. So when I shoot him for self-defense, then what? Because I'm licensed. So if I shoot him in my residency, because he's sitting here putting his hands on me for the second time, then what? I'm held accountable? You hear this, right? You heard what he just said? I'm gonna get my ass beat tonight. So when I shoot him, after I done called the cops and did everything I was supposed
You
to
better
do,
just make sure you can articulate
I can.
what's going on.
I can. I'm showing you.
You better really be able to articulate that.
I can. This is my household. He have no residency, nothing.
Make sure
His
you read up on it and make sure you can articulate when it comes to
I've done
deadly
that. I
force.
did that before I got my license.
Okay.
The officer's decision to leave at this pivotal time would prove to be a crucial turning point. The prosecution would later argue that the officers were justified in leaving because they saw no immediate danger, just a quarreling couple who needed to cool off. The defense, however, would paint a far more disturbing picture. They argued the officers had abandoned a domestic violence victim despite clear warning signs, her multiple 911 calls, her documented fears of assault, and her repeated pleas for protection. The defense would later emphasize how Quaneesha had even warned the officers about potential violence, yet they still left. What happened in the next 4 minutes after their departure became one of the most contested aspects of the case. According to later court documents, an argument continued inside the home, but accounts of what followed differed dramatically. The prosecution claimed Quaneesha had acted with calculation, deliberately going to her car to retrieve both a metal tire iron and her gun before returning to confront DeMonte. The defense maintained she only got these weapons after the situation escalated further, fearing for her safety after previous assaults. The metal tire iron would become a crucial piece of evidence in reconstructing.
It's definitely real, Brooklyn. And that's a fact, Miss D55. It's definitely a sad situation.
These events. Prosecutors said she struck him with it before shooting, pointing to this as proof of premeditated violence, and even pointing to DeMonte's own dying words to the officers.
Come here, man.
Hit me with the little thing first, bro.
Hurry up. Did she shoot you?
Yeah, before I die.
Paramedics rushed DeMonte to Emory Hillendale Medical Center, working desperately to save him. Despite their efforts, the single gunshot wound to his chest proved fatal. DeMonte Smith was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Back at the scene, officers immediately placed Quaneesha in handcuffs and led her to the back of a police van. The state would pursue the most serious charges possible, charging her with malice murder and felony murder. If found guilty, she would face the prospect of life behind bars.
You going with her? You going with her?
We're gonna go up to the same building, okay?
Give mommy a kiss. Give mommy a kiss. You going with her?
Okay.
It's okay. Give mommy a kiss. She not. She gonna tell. She a big girl. She got this. Give mommy a kiss. No, you're not gonna cry.
I am gonna try. I know the
Okay. You're not gonna be without them.
Quaneesha Johnson would eventually stand trial in August 2023, 9 months after DeMonte's death. As the trial began in DeKalb County Superior Court, prosecutors called their first witness, DeMonte's ex-girlfriend. Her testimony revealed a crucial detail. She told jurors that DeMonte had asked her to order him an Uber from Quaneesha's house. Phone records confirmed that the rideshare vehicle was already en route when the shooting occurred, suggesting DeMonte had planned to leave the situation entirely.
A great person. He always laughing, caring, very oriented, always laughing, joking. He was just a great person.
Following the ex-girlfriend's glowing character testimony, the defense revealed a very different side to DeMonte. The jury would hear about an extensive criminal record, including an arrest just 4 months before his death in July 2022. The charges included possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony and possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. More damaging still, at the time of that arrest, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office had active warrants out for charges of stalking and probation violation. This history of violence and criminal behavior, according to the defense, would support Quaneesha's claims of feeling threatened that night. Next to take the stand was Quaneesha's 7-year-old daughter. Her testimony would prove contentious. In her initial statement to forensic child interviewers immediately after the shooting, she had described seeing her mother hit DeMonte with a pole before firing the gun. But now, months later at trial, her story had changed dramatically. She testified that it was actually DeMonte who had struck her mother, not the other way around. This led prosecutors to...
Yeah, that's a fact, Survivor Speaks. Most states, they actually have to. If they get called for a domestic violence call, they have to separate y'all. They can't leave y'all together. I guess it's not that way in DeKalb County, but that is crazy. What up, Chan? My Black is Golden. She said, I feel some type of way. I was telling them about that COVID psychosis. If you got something you want to say, come hop on the mic. We right here. Come hop on.
Suggest that the young girl might have been coached to change her testimony in her mother's favor.
Now, when your mom came into the house that day, she asked you to call 911?
Yes.
She gave you her phone?
Yes.
And did you know that there were police already outside that day?
No.
Okay. Did she tell you why she wanted you to call 911?
Because he was hitting her.
Okay. And was she scared that he was going to hit her?
I don't know.
Objection, personal knowledge. He asked if her mother is scared.
Did she tell you why she wanted you to call 911?
Because he was hitting her.
Okay. Your mom went up the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. And you saw the man Dolo, you saw him hit your mom?
Yes.
Could you see from where you were downstairs, could you see everything that was happening upstairs?
Not everything.
Okay. Could you see your mom?
For a second.
Could you see Dolo?
Yes.
And you said that you heard a gunshot?
Yes.
Did you actually see a gun? Did you see your mom pull a gun and shoot?
I didn't see her pull a gun.
Okay. You just heard the gunshot?
Yes.
Do you remember telling an officer, a police officer, and your aunt on the phone, did you tell them that, did you say your mom and Dola went upstairs and mommy hit him with a pole?
No, Dola hit him with her a pole.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police and your aunt, did you say that? Did you say mommy hit him with a pole?
No, Dola hit her with a pole.
Okay. And did you ever tell the police, do you remember telling the police that mommy hit Dola?
Yes.
You told them that? Okay. Why did you tell them that?
Because I thought I needed to.
Okay. You thought you needed to? Why did you think that you needed to?
I don't know.
Okay.
For 9 days straight, the defense and prosecution went head-to-head, presenting drastically different versions of what happened that November morning. The prosecution painted a picture of a calculated act, arguing that Quaneesha, angry about DeMonte questioning her parenting and lifestyle, deliberately retrieved both weapons from her car before confronting him.
Both weapons? I didn't know she had. Oh yeah, the tire iron. That's why. And so JT says it actually is, but those were the wrong cops. So she says there is a law out there that says they're supposed to separate them, or I don't know if it's a law, but a statute, a code, or something that says they're supposed to separate couples in domestic violence situations. So they failed their job.
They emphasized her words to police before the shooting, suggesting she had already decided what she would do. The defense portrayed a frightened victim who had done everything right, calling 911 multiple times, begging for police protection, and only resorting to violence when abandoned by law enforcement and left alone with someone who had previously assaulted her. They pointed to DeMonte's threatening messages and his history of violence as evidence that Quaneesha's fears were well-founded.
Quaneesha Johnson pleaded for protection, cried for help, and she was left defenseless by police officers who knew better. She was left defenseless against a serial abuser by police officers who knew better.
DeMonte's holding his infant child, and she fearlessly approaches DeMonte and tries to grab the kid. And then, not only that, the entire time, y'all get to hear she says things like, "That's not even your baby. That's not even your kid. You're not even on the birth certificate. I'm gonna disappear again for 3 hours. What are you gonna do then?"
After weighing days of emotional testimony and complex evidence, the jury delivered their verdict. While acquitting Quaneesha Johnson of malice murder, they found her guilty of voluntary manslaughter and all remaining charges. The decision set the stage for what many legal observers considered an unusually nuanced sentencing from Judge Shondiana Morris. Rather than imposing the prosecution's requested 25-year sentence, Judge Morris structured a 20-year term that acknowledged both the gravity of the offense and the circumstances surrounding it. The sentence was divided into 3 distinct phases: 5 years in state prison.
Okay, she gonna break it up now. 5 years in prison, 5 years on house arrest, and 10 years on probation. What up, Six Sigma? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family.
Followed by 5 years of home confinement, and concluding with 10 years of probation. The conditions of her home confinement period were precisely defined. Quaneesha would be permitted to leave only between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., and solely for specific purposes: work, which she was required to maintain, medical appointments, or her children's school-related activities. The judge also included a strict prohibition against having anyone with a felony conviction in her home during the entire duration of her sentence. In what legal experts deemed a significant departure from typical proceedings in manslaughter cases, Judge Morris granted Quaneesha an appeal bond. This critical decision meant that rather than beginning her prison term immediately, she would remain under house arrest while her attorneys pursued an appeal of her conviction. When granting this unusual reprieve, Morris specifically cited the sequence of events leading to the shooting, noting that Quaneesha had called the alarm company, called local law enforcement, not once, not twice, but 3 times before the fatal confrontation.
It's crazy shit. What y'all think, family? Some crazy shit, huh?
New trial with the same judge, and if that motion for a new trial is denied, then they go to the appellate court. The judge mentioned that 911 call that was made in 2018 by an ex-girlfriend, the one who didn't appear, who the defense wanted to bring into the courtroom, and they have accused the victim's family of potential witness tampering. He said that could be a big issue on their appeal, or in their appeal. But I asked him about how rare it is and whether it's really rare for him to have a client out on bond after they've been sentenced to time behind bars. Take a listen.
Now, domestic violence is horrible. He should definitely not be beating on a woman. And if he did that, then hey, maybe he deserved what he got. But I very highly doubt that he would be like, he went and started attacking her and started beating her while the police was still outside. He know that he the first one to go to jail. Why would he do that? So I don't know if I believe that part, but or most of the story anyway. Then like somebody just said, they had the little baby lying after she done already told the police that my mom hit him. Now you saying it's him hit her? That's crazy. But overall, I don't like seeing nobody in jail, so I'm not gonna say I'm mad that she out or nothing. I'm glad that she got a easier sentence than most people get, but it's still a fucked up situation though. She still took that boy life.
This is the first case I've ever handled personally where it's actually happened. So you don't see it happen a lot, but you know, what Court TV knows and what your viewers know, what the judge knows, what the jurors did not know, was that we were looking for a missing witness that was critical to our case. I don't know if that played into the judge's decision, but the judge knows we were looking for a missing witness that was critical to our case, and that the family of the...
I think he was lying right here, though. Talk about we was looking for a missing witness. I think the witness was his ex-girl, and she ended up testifying for him. She was vouching for him. So, I don't know.
The decedent, in this case, had been in touch with that missing witness, had talked to her, had spent time with her, and so the judge knows that. And I don't know if that played any into her mind, but obviously that's going to be an issue that's going to be important for me to raise on my motion for new trial.
Keep in mind, in this case, the victim's family and the prosecution were asking for 30 years behind bars for this defendant, and with much of that being something that would not be served on house arrest, the way the defense asked for and did get a significant portion, Ted.
It's very rare you see someone not being...
Y'all pump Chan My Black is golden up. Tell her come hop on the mic real quick. I know she got a lot to say about this. Come express yourself.
remanded into custody after, first of all, being convicted. But now after the sentencing, for sure, I just figured we'd see her in handcuffs and being carted off to the Department of Corrections. Not the case. We also heard, though, before that, a lot of emotion from the victim family, impact at both sides, especially DeMonte's mother.
Right. We first heard from his sister, who said that her brother was her anchor. He was her rock in this really confusing world, that he was someone who really loved Quaneesha Johnson, that he was head over heels, was always telling his family about her, how lucky he was to be with her. And then his mother spoke. She had a really poignant victim impact statement where she explained to the judge her son is not the monster that he was painted as by the defense.
You took his life and said bye. You showed no remorse for him. None. Not for me, not for my daughter, not for his kids. I can't believe that I felt sorry for you for a moment. But I didn't know all the facts. I didn't know everything. I have no remorse for you. I have no empathy. Because you had no remorse for my son, and you showed no empathy for him. You deserve every single year they can give to you.
And Bernetta Campbell left early during that sentencing hearing. She heard the beginning parts of what the judge was saying, and it seemed that she didn't want to hear anymore, especially when there was the discussion of the house arrest for the portion of this sentence that...
Viral video showing an accused shoplifter shocked to learn that she may face a felony charge for theft. The Southern California Police Department is now reminding folks about the new Prop 36 law that cracks down on low-level theft. Matt Finn live in Los Angeles to explain all of this. Memo to shoplifters, you can now be prosecuted.
That's right, John. And you know, here in California, we've reported on countless cases of brazen theft, shoplifting with no significant consequences. But last month, California voters overwhelmingly approved the new law, Prop 36, which rolls back criminal justice reform policies that critics say led to overwhelming crime. Police and prosecutors now have more leeway to charge crimes as felonies. Like this video from Seal Beach in Orange County. 3 women walk into an Ulta beauty store and then a Kohl's, casually stealing whatever they want, not even trying to conceal some of their stolen goods. Even after leaving the stores, the women, they're in no rush, but are surprised when Seal Beach police run up on them And after a short chase, they arrest the thieves. Take a listen here as a police camera captures two of these young women talking about their shock that they were arrested for a felony.
That's a felony? New laws. Stealing is a felony. And this is Orange County. They don't play.
The three women were booked into an Orange County jail on charges of grand theft, conspiracy to commit a crime, and resisting arrest. Now, yesterday in Bakersfield, California, Dustin Towery pleaded not guilty to stealing 2 scooters from a Target store. Before Prop 36, Towery could only be charged with a misdemeanor, but now the DA can and did charge this man with a felony, in part because he had 6 prior convictions for stealing and a history of skipping out on court appearances.
Had it been before the passage of Prop 36, he would have been given, if caught, which he resisted arrest, but if caught, he would have been given a citation and a promise to appear. Now, because of the voters, this man is in custody and can't steal again, at least for a while.
And because of that man's criminal past, the judge ordered him held in jail without bail. Again, something that would not have been possible just a few weeks ago here in California. John.
It's a whole new world out there.
All right, before we get up out of here, let me give y'all YSL fix. I know most of y'all love the YSL stuff, so we're going to get into a little bit of that, little clip, and then we're going to get up out of here.
You are going to have some notes tonight.
What kind?
You're going to have a warrant for criminal attempt to commit robbery, aggravated assault.
That's Viverito. I know that voice. That's Viverito. And for those who don't know, this is the infamous Shell Kell, the YSL #1 enemy. What's it called when you the top enemy or whatever? I'm trying to think of what you call it, the superhero shit, whatever. It's arch enemy. It's the YSL arch enemy. But he didn't snitch though. He didn't tap in.
Possession of a firearm by convicted felon. So what that's going to stem from is the incident back at Hank Aaron. So I don't know if you want to talk to us about that. Where I saw you in the hospital, you were in pretty bad shape. I don't know if you remember, I came up there to see you, and you looked out the window at me, but you were in pretty bad shape when I came up there to see you. So do you know what incident we're referring to?
Get me to the jail. Get me to the jail, man. You want to talk about that else?
There go FFS favorite line. Where you at? You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it? You say, hell nah. Shout out to No One. Married. I see you, family. That's what's up. 24 years anniversary. Okay, 24 years. Hey, y'all show some love to No One for that. That's beautiful, family. Shout out to that.
Is there anywhere that you want to be placed in the jail that you feel comfortable? You want to talk about that else? Is there anywhere that you want to be placed in the jail that you feel comfortable, feel safe in the jail?
Some warrants. You are going to have some warrants tonight.
What kind?
You're going to have a warrant for criminal attempt to commit robbery, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm by convicted felon. So what that's going to stem from is the incident back at Hank Aaron. So I don't know if you want to talk to us about that. Where I saw you in the hospital, you were in pretty bad shape. I don't know if you remember, I came up there to see you, and you looked out the window at me, but you were in pretty bad shape when I came up there to see you. So do you know what incident we're referring to?
Get me to the jail. Get me to the jail, man. You want to talk about that else? Is there anywhere?
Yeah, the ops. That's the word I'm looking for. That's the YSL ops. Okay, there we go. Dang, I must be getting old, huh?
That you want to be placed in the jail that you feel comfortable, feel safe in the jail? No, I'm good. So you good? Just anywhere, put you anywhere in the jail?
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay. We just want to make sure, because there's a lot going on down in the jail. Well, listen, you ain't been doing that good since you got home.
I know.
So I'm concerned about you in the jail. That's why I'm asking. This is a legitimate concern. You got Shannon in there. You got a lot of folks in there that I'm concerned about. So that's why I'm asking you. Is there anybody that you need to stay away from?
No.
Okay.
Sure. Like, for real, we really concerned we on when that bad happened to you. When you hurt now.
I made sure nothing bad happened to you the first time.
That call onto the house.
Shout out to no one. Brooklyn. I'm motherfucking tired. We almost up out of here, family.
You don't have to say nothing. Tell Debbie the same thing.
No, I'm good. So, and I appreciate y'all being concerned.
You have any questions for us?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we'll get you down.
All right, y'all have a good day, man.
All right, sir.
No. Why didn't you, as an officer of this court, tell me? And that's not what the point is. The point is, you as an advocate, is you should have told me. I got a problem with you now. I got a problem with you now. I would suggest you don't say anymore. Now you want to have it both ways. You can't do it. Both sides have an equal responsibility under the rules.
More information.
Hold on. Before we do that, we gotta play this little clip of Fanny under investigation before we roll up out of here. Appreciate y'all, family. Drop something in the chat if you want your name read out at the end. I'll do some readings, but I had to play this clip real quick. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend.
On DA Fonnie Willis's romantic relationship with the special prosecutor she hired. The GOP argues that relationship was a conflict of interest. A Fulton County judge earlier this week ruled the Georgia Senate can compel Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis to testify or turn over evidence on whether she engaged in misconduct in her prosecution of President-elect Donald Trump and his allies.
Should state senators investigate her?
They have every right to investigate high-profile issues in this state.
Yo, I don't know when he getting out, but he got a court date on the 8th. Yak Gotti.
Republican-led state Senate committee back in August subpoenaed Willis to testify amid accusations she improperly benefited from her romantic relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade. Willis argued state lawmakers don't have that power.
The Georgia State Senate has the authority to issue subpoenas, and Georgians must respond to them.
Brian Robinson is a Republican strategist and a panelist with Fox 5's The Georgia Gang.
I do foresee her.
The Georgia Gang. Shout out to Survivor Speaks. 8 years married for her, 9 years together. That's what's up. Congratulations.
Being drugged in front of a Senate committee to answer questions that she doesn't want to answer.
Judge Shakora Ingram is giving Willis the chance to argue if her documents are protected, and state lawmakers are going too far.
Yes, the Republicans can subpoena the district attorney, but what she did not say in her ruling is that District Attorney Fonnie Willis had to turn over any documentation that has been requested.
Theron Johnson.
Shout out to JT. Been together for 10 years. That's a legal marriage. That's a common law marriage. 10 years. Y'all married now by law in some states. Well, common law is actually all America, so that's every state, but it's just not everybody go by it. So shout out to you for that. Congratulations. 6 Sigma, standing 10 toes down. Appreciate you, family.
Is a Democratic strategist who's also a panelist on the Georgia Gang.
District Attorney Fonnie Willis has an opportunity to make the case based on the questions that she's been asked through the subpoenas, is whether or not the Republican Party went too far.
DA Willis has until January 13th to present her arguments on the subpoenas. At Fulton County Superior.
Y'all go sub up to Queen Slime. Appreciate you, Survivor Speaks. Y'all show Cat Not some love. Cat Not Williams.
Hi guys, how is everybody?
All right, family. We up out of here. New track by No One, as always. That's what's up. That's what's up. I see you, family.
No. Why didn't you, as an officer of this court, tell me? And that's not what the point is. The point is, you as an advocate, is you should have told me. I got a problem with you now. I got a problem with you now.
I got a problem with you now. Yo, JT said when we getting our 2025 cartoon, it's coming soon. I got one I'm working on, but I messed up my voice, so I got to do my parts all over, but I got the other character already ready to go. I just got to fix my parts. And then we got that new cartoon, YP Comp Chick. Yep, I got y'all coming soon. We got y'all coming, family. Appreciate y'all.
I would suggest you don't say any more. Now you want to have it both ways. You can't do it. Both sides have an equal responsibility under the rules. It's a professional responsibility. All right, have a seat, sir. Thank you.
How fast things have changed. How fast things have changed. How fast things have changed.
Now I see you running, coming for my come up. Broke out all your shackles, turned it to some armor. Used to be the judge, but now you have no honor. To die with your pride is to live with all your karma. Now you understand. Now you understand.
Another night of crime. There's a lot of fun talking about. All right. Anybody else have any other issues as to
my
Uh-oh. Fulton County has no problem coming in here and cuffing all of us, okay? Don't be an idiot.
Are you trying to tell me about myself? You homeless, and you don't even have a mirror to look at yourself.
Here. So I know you all about your principles. But can we just please just listen to Earn so we can get out of here? It's 4 cops on the other side of that door. You know if they come in here, they're gonna get your ass on a whole lot of other shit.
You lying ass bitch.
I knew it. Mama, I hate you.
Don't you never come back to my house,
And
no.
I hope they blow your motherfucking ass to smithereens.
You better hope they do, bitch. You better hope they do.
This nigga kidnapped me.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that, No One. I'm gonna need the voice.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! What are you, fucking nuts?
You thought? You just...
Shout out to Mercy and Grace. Shout out to No One. Shout out to Survivor Speaks. Shout out to Chan My Black is Golden. Shout out to Cha Diggy. Shout out to FFS. Shout out to Chloe Albert's Revenge. Shout out to YP Com Chick. Shout out to Allie. Good night, family. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to JT. Shout out to Survivor Speaks, Six Sigma, No One, Brooklyn. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Shout out to Miss D. I'm seeing doubles. Joni 4, KT, Allie, Pit Love. Appreciate y'all, family. Y'all have a great night. Have a happy New Year. Appreciate y'all being here. I had a great time. We getting into it. A little different. But you know, we got to keep it rolling. Until next time, y'all stay safe, stay fresh, and stay blessed. Peace out.
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued has got to stop.